and one of the opposition's representatives, Anthony Hilton, will join us.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask ackee and saltfish or ackee and corn pork? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, a group of protesters gathered outside the Jamaican consulate in New York City to express their displeasure at issues they say are plaguing Jamaica. They were met by a counter-protest calling them unpatriotic. Representatives of both sides will join us.
At 7, craft traders in Oteria say there's been a sharp decline in the volume of business they're getting at craft markets. They're criticizing the UDC and TPDCO. General Manager at the UDC, L. Robert Honnigan, will join us.
And at 8, it's the A-Team with Dennis Brooks. All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Friday afternoon, it's Friday, May 10, 2024.
News at 5 is brought to you by Fostrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. The mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, says the National Water Commission, the NWC, and AMH are the greatest threats to the growth of the country. Mayor Samuels stopped short of saying what the AMH abbreviation stands for. He was expressing concern about the lack of water in the parish amid a prolonged drought. Robin Williams has the report.
The Lucy Mayor Sheridan Samuels was speaking during a monthly general meeting of the Hanover Municipal Corporation on Thursday.
The fire brigade doing better than you. The fire brigade doing better than you. You know that NSWMA doing better than you too. You know that the biggest threat to the livelihood of this country, not water, but NWC and AMH. You are the two biggest threat to the livelihood and the growth of this country. I can tell you that. Check it out. Use the middle name.
On Wednesday, several business entities in Lucy closed their doors early due to the lack of water. During Thursday's meeting, all 7 councillors in the corporation expressed concern amid the crisis. The NWC's manager for Hanover at Westmoreland, Nicholas Campbell, told the meeting that 2 water trucks are assigned to the parish. 1 unit belongs to the NWC, while the other is owned by a private contractor. Mr. Campbell noted that the Great River Treatment Plant, which supplies Hopewell, Sandy Bay, and Lucy, had issues for the past 2 weeks. He said operations were restored on Thursday after an issue with the power supplied by the Jamaica Public Service Company was addressed. Deputy Mayor of Lucy, Andrea Dehaney Grant, says the situation is dire.
Westmoreland have one river down here. We need to put some things in place that Westmoreland have their own water treatment plant to serve the parish. We can't send out the water from up here and then our people are suffering. Them call for the Ministry of Education almost every day, and many can attest to that. Schools, health centers, everywhere that the parish have no water. I can't tell the last time it's no water.
Councillor for the Riverside Division, Darren Barnes, questioned why in the days leading up to the February 26 local government election, water supply in his division was uninterrupted. He says since the elections, the taps have been dry. But Mr. Campbell insisted that the NWC was not playing politics.
Water has no color. Water is in green or red, so we have nothing to do with politics. We are supplying water.
That is not true. You're charging off the water to sell the black tanks.
This region, and I can say clear from my perspective that we're serving all communities. It's not orange, green, whoever.
Campbell explained that an issue with the Q pumping station has impacted several communities. He added that an automated pump will be installed at the station later this month. Robianne Williams for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, Nationwide News understands that NWC employees in sections of Hanover and Westmoreland have asked to be transferred because they're being abused by customers, to include members of the business community. The abuse, they allege, stems from the lack of potable water amid ongoing drought conditions. Or sources say the customers are behaving as though the NWC workers have deliberately turned off the taps and are withholding water from the communities. Those issues were put to the president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Elaine Allen Bradley. Mrs. Allen Bradley says never in a million years could those claims be true.
Why would they be threatening? That's my point. Why would they? They would be encouraging them to provide water for them, not threatening them. And the business people would never in a million years threaten anybody at all, never mind NWC workers. So that's a false allegation for a start. Don't know where it's coming from. I've not heard it. And I've just spoken to a couple of business people, and they have not heard it either. So where these allegations are coming from, we do not know.
Mrs. Allen Bradley hastened to say that the business community has been severely affected by the lack of water. She adds that the NWC workers may be misinterpreting their pleas for water as threats.
Why would you want to threaten somebody you want to do their job and deliver water? Maybe they are misunderstood when people say that NWC are not doing the job they are being paid to do, and meaning that they are not providing the service that they are supposed to provide. Yet they are giving people bills, and one hotel got a bill when they've not had water for months, and they had a bill for $7 million. Now, is that realistic? And they're still buying water. So maybe they're saying or misinterpreting that when they're saying NWC is inefficient and ineffective, maybe they're thinking of it as a threat.
Elaine Allen Bradley, the president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce.
Jamaica's move to end its relationship with the British monarchy in a bipartisan manner appears to have hit a snag. This follows instructions from opposition leader Mark Golding for his party's representatives not to sign the final report of the Constitutional Reform Committee, CRC. The opposition leader says his party will not sign the document unless the matter of Jamaica acceding to the appellate jurisdiction of the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, is settled. Norgay Banton has the details.
It's been a year since Prime Minister Andrew Holness named a 14-member Constitutional Reform Committee to guide the process of overhauling Jamaica's constitutional arrangements. The work of the committee has come in for much criticism. Civil society groups have called for more transparency and broader consultation on the matters under consideration. Despite those hurdles, co-chair of the committee and Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, announced that the body had come to a consensus on the way forward and would be making its recommendations to Cabinet. But in a letter dated May 7, 2024, addressed to Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Mark Golding has indicated he's not prepared to play ball. He has instructed Donna Scott Motley and Anthony Hilton not to sign off on the recommendations of the committee. The two have been members of the body for 12 months and have been part of the deliberations on its work. Mr. Golding told the Prime Minister that unless the move from the British monarchy is paired with leaving the London-based Privy Council, the opposition would not approve the document. The PNP president also told the Prime Minister that leaving the Privy Council is a fundamental issue for his party. Mr. Golding says coupling the removal of the British monarch with accepting the Caribbean Court of Justice would allow the country to proceed on its constitutional reform process in a bipartisan manner that embraces what he describes as full decolonization. The report is shortly to be presented to the Cabinet for approval. Mr. Golding further told the Prime Minister that there are other issues in the final report that are of concern to the parliamentary opposition. He says those concerns will be shared with the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort. Mr. Golding did not outline them in his letter. The full contents of the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee have not been made public. Norgay Banton for Nationwide News.
And despite Mr. Golding's insistence that his party will not sign off on the recommendations of the Constitutional Reform Committee, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort, says she remains hopeful that there will be consensus on the report. Mrs. Malahoo Fort responded to Mr. Golding via media release on Friday. Dana Davey has the minister's response.
Marlene Malahoo Fort is undeterred by Mark Golding's threat to withhold his support. She says the work must go on.
The CRC process has been worthwhile, and we have made great progress so far, but the work must continue until the task is done. While consensus of the government and opposition is a required step to advance reform of the deeply entrenched provisions, ultimately it is the people of Jamaica who will decide.
The minister says the report to be submitted to Cabinet contains only recommendations which received the full support of the committee members.
It is regrettable that the leader of the opposition has instructed his representatives on the committee not to sign the report, even though the report includes only those recommendations to which all members of the committee agreed.
In his letter to the Prime Minister announcing that his party's representatives would not sign the document, Mr. Golding appeared to suggest that Donna Scott Motley and Anthony Hilton did not have the authority to approve any recommendations on their own. Minister Malahoo Fort is maintaining that the work of the Reform Committee will be done in phases. According to the government's expressed timeline, the matter of the country's final appellate court will be dealt with in phase 2 of the process. The opposition leader is insisting that it be handled in phase 1, along with the question of replacing the monarchy. The minister is urging all Jamaicans to make their voice heard when the matter is put to a referendum. She says she remains hopeful.
It is the hope of the CRC that when the time comes, all eligible Jamaican voters will turn out and demonstrate that it is not about political preferences, but that you, the people, want a definitive say in our governance arrangements. I'm hopeful, I'm really hopeful that both government and opposition can work together to help create the Republic of Jamaica.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. More after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 14 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
It's our Mother's Day weekend sale at the Ashley Furniture Home Store, and we've got everything for Mom with up to 20% off select styles. Shop gifts for her starting at $2,999. Plus, enjoy 25% off all decorative accessories. Finance or Fave styles on 6 to 48 months credit. Get the perfect gift for Mom during the Ashley Furniture Home Store's Mother's Day weekend sale, May 9 to 12. This is home. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, Nationwide News understands that the PNP is set to name former Tourism Minister Dr. Wickham McNeill as its standard bearer in the constituency of Northern Trelawney. Dr. McNeill has been out of the public's eye since his shock defeat at the 2020 general election. But as we hear in this report from George Davis, the 5-term MP has set his sights on North Trelawney as he looks for a path back to Gordon House.
Dr. Kenneth Wickham McNeill was one of the shock losers at the last general election held on September 3, 2020. Before Election Day, only the bravest punter would have bet against him winning a 6th straight term as MP in Western Westmoreland. But McNeill, a medical doctor, didn't survive the green tide that swept through Western Jamaica. He fell victim to a neophyte, the JLP's Moreland Wilson. Since then, the man who served as Junior Minister of Tourism for 7 years and then as Portfolio Minister for 4 years has kept a very low profile. He seemed to have been sidelined by the current leadership of the PNP, with the role of opposition spokesperson on tourism being played by Senator Janice Allen since late 2020. But our sources say Dr. McNeill, at 66 years old, is back from his hiatus. It's understood he has been tasked by the party with taking the seat from the JLP's Tova Hamilton in North Trelawney. Our sources say the man who was expected to represent the PNP in the seat at the next general election, Dennis Meadows, played a key role in getting Dr. McNeil to take on the North Trelawney challenge. Meadows, of course, blotted his copybook and was stood down as caretaker by the PNP in February this year after making injudicious comments in praise of lottery scammers. Nationwide News has been unsuccessful in our attempts to reach Dr. McNeil for comment, but we did speak with the PNP General Secretary, Dr. Dayton Campbell, who said he had no comment on the matter. George Davis for Nationwide News.
The government has joined international calls for Palestine to be granted membership in the United Nations. In a statement on Friday, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says Jamaica is among the 143 countries that voted in favor of the resolution adopted by the UN General Assembly. In welcoming the result, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kamina Johnson-Smith, says Jamaica has long maintained a balanced position in support of a peaceful resolution of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This includes a two-state solution that guarantees the security of Israel and the right of Palestine to an independent, viable, and sovereign state within pre-1967 borders. The minister says Jamaica's support for this vote takes place in the context of lending its voice to efforts at the regional and multilateral levels to bring an end to the hostilities.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
The World in a Minute. St. Kitts and Nevis has initiated a 15-day gun amnesty. The amnesty is aimed at tackling a surge of illegal firearms and ammunition on the island. It will take effect from May 10 to May 25, following the recent passage of the Firearms Bill. During the amnesty period, persons have the opportunity to surrender illegal firearms or ammunition at any police station in St. Kitts or Nevis without fear of prosecution. Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew says people can also deliver weapons or ammunition to an attorney. Persons can also remain anonymous and no records of their identity will be kept. The country's recently passed firearms bill introduces stringent penalties for those possessing illegal firearms. Maximum sentences have increased to 40 years, with fines reaching up to 500,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars.
At the UN, the General Assembly has enhanced Palestine's rights within the organization and called for it to be accepted as a member. Palestine has had non-member observer state status since 2012, which allows some rights short of a full member. Membership can only be decided upon by the UN Security Council. The United States recently vetoed a bid for full membership, but Friday's vote can be seen as a gesture of support for the Palestinians. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas welcomed the resolution, saying it supported Palestinian efforts for another vote on the issue by the Security Council. However, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations said the body had welcomed, quote, a terrorist state into its ranks. Addressing the assembly, he shredded a copy of the UN Charter, accusing members of having metaphorically done just that by passing the resolution. The additional rights to Palestine allows it to participate in debates, propose agenda items, and have its representatives elected to committees. However, it will not have the right to cast a vote.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, the mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, says the NWC and a person he refers to as AMH are the greatest threats to the growth of the country.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says the PNP will not sign off on the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee.
But the Constitutional Affairs Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort is undeterred by Mark Golding's threat.
While consensus of the government and opposition is a required step to advance reform, ultimately it is the people of Jamaica who will decide.
The PNP is to name former Tourism Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil as its standard bearer in Northern Trelawney.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app, available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by Fosrich Company Limited, fostering rich customer service.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
It's our Mother's Day weekend sale at the Ashley Furniture Home Store, and we've got everything for mom with up to 20% off select styles. Shop gifts for her starting at $2,999. Plus, enjoy 25% off all decorative accessories. Finance or Fave styles on 6 to 48 months credit. Get the perfect gift for mom during the Ashley Furniture Home Store's Mother's Day weekend sale, May 9 to 12. This is home. Conditions apply.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Jamaica Football Federation has reappointed Hubert Busby as head coach of the national senior women's football team. In a release, the JFF says Busby was reappointed after careful consideration and due process. Busby was removed from the position when the JFF requested FIFA to investigate unsavory media reports originating in Europe. FIFA has subsequently cleared Busby. This is Busby's second stint with the national team, having held the position from 2020 to 2021. The JFF says based on Busby's vast experience and knowledge of the squad, they think he's the perfect individual to take the team through the next stage of its development. Busby will therefore take charge of the squad, which will play 2 international friendlies against Brazil on June 1 and June 4 in Brazil. The squad will be announced soon. The JFF also thanked Xavier Gilbert for acting in the role of head coach since October of last year. He will revert to his previous role as assistant coach. The Professional Football Jamaica Limited, PFJL, has collaborated with Malta to introduce the Elite Under-17 Development Football Program. This is a junior-level training initiative offering opportunities for young talents to further ignite passion for the sport and to channel through Jamaican energy. CEO of PFGL, Owen Hill, says the program aims to provide a pathway for young players to progress into local, international, or regional clubs and academies.
The concept here is to create an elite level junior football development program at the club level, essential to the national development of our sport. This program will enable our youth players to improve their technical and tactical skills in a manner that will be globally adaptable. Mandatory coaching education will be embedded in the delivery of the program with outcomes such as individual clubs and player development plans being implemented. So we're not just trying to create a football tournament where everybody tries to win and you win at all costs. No, we're looking at developing our talent and by extension allow them to be globally adaptable.
Owen Hill. Through this program, clubs will have the opportunity to participate using their best junior players between the ages of 15 and 17 and will involve 4 Premier League clubs: Arnott Gardens, Waterhouse, Portmore United and Harbourview. PFJL, in collaboration with these clubs, will administer 3 football festivals where teams will compete in an equitable format to determine the champions on the day. The games will follow traditional football competition rules and will be hosted over 3 consecutive months, starting May 25 ending July 27, where the teams will compete against each other. Malta brand manager Jody Ann Campbell says the program aims to equip the players and their parents or guardians with the essential tools to improve their personal and social development skills.
We have crafted workshops with prominent and critical session leaders who will provide these footballers and their caregivers with the expertise on personal and social development, holistic health, and of course, technical skills on the field. Therefore, by leveraging our expertise of the PFGL, we aim to deliver an excellent developmental football program that will propel the sport to new heights in Jamaica.
That's Jody and Campbell. Kerry McLeod was the only Jamaican to achieve a podium finish in Doha, Qatar today, the third stop on the Wonder Diamond League circuit. McLeod won the men's long jump with his fourth leap of 8 meters 52. Teammate Tajay Gill, the 2019 world champion, finished fifth with 8 meters 01. Meanwhile, Natoya Gould Tapin finished sixth in the season's best 1 minute 59.74 seconds in the women's 800 meters. The event was won by Kenya's world champion Miriam Mora in the season's best 1 minute 57.91. Andrew Hudson, the reigning 200 meters national champion, finished seventh in the men's 200 meters in 20.53. Natasha Morrison was seventh in the women's 100 meters. She did 11.37. Some of the biggest athletes in the world will be on display in Kingston tomorrow at the first ever staging of the Jamaica Athletics Invitational starting at 7:30 p.m. The likes of former world champions Dina Asher-Smith, Fred Curley and Christian Coleman, along with the Julian Alfred, the newly minted world champion over 60 meters, and the brilliant African Marie-Josée Talou from the Côte d'Ivoire are also down to take part. Both Marie-Josée Talou of the Ivory Coast and Britain's Dina Asher-Smith are both in agreement that there's no room for complacency in women's sprinting. Asher-Smith, who has moved her training camp to Austin in Texas, says she's highly motivated to compete at the very top level, given the competitive nature of women's sprinting.
I think it actually makes it easier because there are so many phenomenal and truly phenomenal, and I say that with a capital P and underlined, phenomenal women right now that are sprinting. There's so many of them and they're so talented that all you can do is focus on yourself. That's honestly, when you actually think about it, that's all you can do because you have absolutely no control over your rivals. There's too many people to try and, get in one person's head or do any of those silly, I'm not that kind of girl anyway. You guys know me for a while, but even if you were that so way inclined, there's too many people to do that too. So you truly just have to, every single day, try your best, keep pushing, keep improving, asking your coach, was that good enough? If it's a no, what do I need to do to get better? But that's all you can do. And I think because we are in that kind of time, that actually makes it simple because you only have control over your own actions and all you can do is keep pushing to get better.
That's Dina Asher-Smith. Talou, who has been close to becoming global champion on several occasions, believes once she remains grounded, the reward will come.
It's a sport that I have around because sometimes it can be tough, it's like, it's too hard, it's too much, I just want to just give up. And then the support around let me remind me that, okay, you can do it. And also I will say my faith because, I'm a big believer, so I take my strength in prayer, and I think God gives me also the strength to always come and showcase my talent every year, so yeah.
That's Marie-Josée Talou, and the Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the meet during Sports Nation Live. It's now time for the Nationwide Olympic Facts, sponsored by Fontana Pharmacy.
This is Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
Did you know that Jamaican athletes competed as part of a unified Caribbean team at one Olympic Games? Yes, that's a fact. Jamaica's athletes competed as part of the West Indies Federation team at the 1960 Olympics in Rome.
That was Nationwide's Olympic Facts, brought to you by Fontana Pharmacy. It's all good inside.
All right, that's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Hyundai, the home of modern, premium, affordable vehicles. Call us at 876-630-1511. The time by Hyundai is
5:31.
You didn't know that the government decreased JUTC bus fares? Yes, it's now 70 for adults, 25 for children, and 30 for pensioners. And in April, fares will go down even further to 50 for adults, 20 for children, and 25 for pensioners.
The temperature by the office of the Prime Minister is
30 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 29 in the western city, Montego Bay.
Welcome Deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. When you're good, you're just good. Hey, the national flavor. You go want to buy this bag. So good, it's just so good. Welcome deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top. So crisp, so light, so buttery. National Baking Company, just so good.
Accelerate your career with the right ally. Mona School of Business and Management. Explore our suite of highly ranked, specialized, globally competitive graduate degrees, including our internationally accredited MBA program. At MSBM, we nurture critical thinkers and innovative leaders, placing our graduates in a league of their own. Join the community of trailblazers making an impact at home and abroad. Apply online today. Global knowledge, regional solutions.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica presents its annual spring concert season at the University Chapel, Mona, 3 nights, May 17 to 19. Hear classical favorites by Mozart, Strauss, Bizet, and the outstanding Marley Symphony. Solo performances by Rafael Salazar on clarinet and Giovanni Williams on violin. Tickets at Music Mart and Monarch Pharmacies, Sovereign, Barbican, and Tropical Plaza. Check the press and Facebook for details. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica in concert, May 17 to 19 at the University Chapel.
You deserve a beautiful home. Join the expert Karen Booker, your design diva, this and every Saturday at 1 to 2 p.m. here on Nationwide 90 FM. Learn what's really behind the design. Access insights and hacks that'll have your home looking like it was snatched from a magazine cover. From cushions to curtains, choosing colors to carpets, Karen will teach you the secret of the pros. That's the Design Studio every Saturday at 1 p.m. here on Nationwide 90.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Now, Opposition Leader Mark Golding has instructed his representatives on the Constitutional Reform Committee, the CRC, not to sign off on the committee's report until issues he's raised regarding the process have been resolved.
In a letter to Prime Minister Andrew Holness dated May 7, 2024, Mr. Golding says unless the move from the British monarchy is paired with leaving the London-based Privy Council, the opposition would not approve the document. The PNP president also told the Prime Minister that leaving the Privy Council is a fundamental issue for his party.
Mr. Golding says coupling the removal of the British monarch with accepting the Caribbean Court of Justice would allow the country to proceed on the constitutional reform process in a bipartisan manner that embraces what he describes as full decolonization. Now, the report is to be presented to the Cabinet for approval shortly. Mr. Golding further told the Prime Minister that there are other issues in the final report that are of concern to the parliamentary opposition.
He says those concerns will be shared with the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort. Mr. Golding did not outline what those items were in his letter. The full contents of the report of the Constitutional Reform Committee have not been made public.
In the meantime, Minister Marlene Malahoo Fort says she remains hopeful there will be consensus on the report. She says the report to be submitted to the Cabinet contains only recommendations which receive the full support of the committee members. Minister Malahoo Fort joins us now. We're also being joined by one of the opposition's nominees to the committee, Anthony Hilton. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Anthony. Good afternoon to the listeners.
Hi, good afternoon, Minister.
Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Hilton, let me start with you. How long have you been a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee?
From its inception.
Right. And over that time, during the deliberations, were you keeping Mr. Golding abreast of the matters under discussions?
Oh, yes. I mean, of course, we'd have discussions from time to time as required and as the opportunity arises, remembering that this has been a dynamic process. What I can say is that as part of the process adopted, it was agreed that while the report was being put together, that report will not be shared until its finalization or near finalization. And so the report was not made available. Issues were discussed.
When you say not made available to who?
Well, to the leader of the opposition.
Right. But you were aware, and you are aware of everything that's in the report, correct?
Of course. Yes, I am. Yes, I would be.
And
yes.
are you opposed to anything in the report?
No, we have not. It's in the process of negotiation and back and forth. There are issues that we would have raised that were resolved in ways that were not the way that our preferred approach. But that's the nature of negotiation, and so
right. But just to be clear, right. But just to be clear, you're not opposed to anything in the report.
No, I'm not opposing anything in the report, but you should understand that it is the right of the leader of the party. We are representing the party, and we negotiate in good faith. We listen to the to and fro, and the back and forth, and the compromises that are made in the way of making progress. But ultimately, it is the party and the party leader representing the party that have to say whether those compromises suits the party's position.
But I suppose
that's the nature. That's the nature of what we represent.
I suppose what I'm struggling with, Mr. Hilton, is if from the beginning you've been keeping, and I understand that Mr. Golding is the leader of the party, you've been keeping him up to date on the deliberations. You are not opposed to anything in the report. In the national interest, then, so that something that has stalled for 50 years can move forward, why wouldn't you sign it?
No, but first of all, I think that's a simplistic view.
Well, please make it more complicated for me.
No, that's not. You don't. No need to make it complicated. The simple fact is, Mr. Golding has said, for example, from the beginning, that the issue of the CCJ is a red line issue. That is publicly known. That issue was not resolved, and we're still hopeful that can be resolved because discussions continue up until the time that the report is to be submitted. Apart from that, there have been issues on which I have reserved specifically in the final report, and then there are other in which Mr. Golding has a right to comment and to give his perspective on. And yet there are other issues that he has in weighing them of a different perspective, and he's entitled to that. And we are still hopeful, as the minister has expressed, that having sent in those comments, that it could still allow for consensus in the CRC and on the final report. That possibility still exists. Whether that happens, we don't know. But to simply say that because we as representatives are not objecting, therefore the leader must accept without questioning what the compromises that we necessarily have to make, I think is simplistic.
Mr. Hilton, in the specific matter of the Privy Council versus the CCJ, that referendum and debate, was there consensus among the members of the committee on that issue?
We need a consensus.
As in, did you come to an arrangement or agreement as to how that matter should be treated in terms of would it be phased, or was it that the opposition members on said committee simply said, no, we do not agree with this course of action?
Well, the simple fact is that what was outlined was in the last communication and the last effort was a meeting, a brief meeting in the Parliament between the the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition, in which certain undertakings were given and a response is to be made to the Leader of Opposition. That is a subject to which the Leader of Opposition referred in his letter to the Prime Minister to remind that a response is being awaited as part of that process. And the Leader of Opposition having made it very clear what the red line issue is for him, then there was nothing more that the members on the CRC could do to address that. So it's not a question of whether we agree or disagree.
But doesn't it amount to being obstructionist if you make a red line issue an issue on which there is no consensus, which I think is what Siobhan's question was getting at?
No, but let me say, we believe, and we've taken the position from day one, that the issue of the repatriation of the sovereignty of the country must include a repatriation of the court, or highest or final court of appeal, or final or apex court. And therefore, that issue, we believe, is structurally and philosophically a very, very important issue for the opposition, which has been stated very clearly from the outset. No, from the outset, you will recall that when the committee was put together, there was not the immediate response from the leader of the opposition because he said he needed to have a further understanding and further discussion about the committee. That meeting was held, and certain undertaking given to examine and to look at this issue. The truth is that no such understanding or no such discussion from October last year. We were told that the Prime Minister would make a statement in the House on the matter. That has not been done. And so the point is, if there was any opportunity for consensus, which was our hope going into this process, then it had to begin first with an articulation of the concerns of the government on the issue, and nothing has been forthcoming. Neither to us nor to the public.
But certainly, Mr. Hilton, that this report, which is the work of the CRC, not necessarily the work that will inform the final decisions to be made on this matter, does not need to be held up. You will still have other opportunities as both the parliamentarians and as MPs to address this matter.
Well, it's a process, but every step of the process is important. Otherwise, and if you don't take care, you then be accused of reversing your position on issues. And so one have to take care that those positions are.
But how would you be accused of reversing your position if it is already clearly said that specific matter, which I understand is fundamental to the opposition, and I understand you say is a red line, will be dealt with in phase 2? How could you then be credibly accused of reversing your position?
No, there was no agreement from us that will be dealt with in phase 2. In fact, our insistence.
No, I understand that you don't agree, but I'm saying the government is asking that be the timeline. And it goes back to my original question. In the interest of having us move on something that we have stalled for 50 years, half a century, why not compromise and move forward?
Well, there are some compromises that can be made, and we have made some compromises. There are others that are fundamental, and in this case, it's for us the issue of the CCJ, and that has been stated very clearly and consistently all along the way. And the truth is that what was needed is the sense that there was a serious engagement on the issue, and there never was. So not throughout this process, or not previously, and not subsequently. There's never. All we've heard was, "Net, we have no consensus, we can't move." That's all we have heard. So no rationale, no reasoning on the critical issue.
So, Mr. Hilton, you believe that the government's intentions, which stated that they would address this matter of the final appellate court in a phase further down the line, is not genuine?
No, there is reason. There are ample reason for distrust on that issue. If you look at the history of how this issue has been handled, there's ample reason for distrust. And I think any examination or any recollection of how this issue has warped our politics will suggest that there should be deep distrust on it.
And so the answer to that is yes. You just don't trust the government.
Yes. That's the answer, yes.
Yeah. All right, we're up on the break. We understand Mr. Hilton has to leave us. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. After the break, the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs will respond.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways, a part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure, reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed. That's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at LaBelle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Your voice matters, and it's making a difference. In January 2023, you are invited to share valuable feedback on the draft regulations for our National Identification System NIDS. Thanks to your input, these regulations have been enhanced and are now being tabled for Parliament's consideration. Follow the debates and get the latest updates on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Together, we're building a brighter, more secure future for Jamaica.
Welcome back to the cover story, listeners, viewers, as we try to navigate this matter regarding the report from the Constitutional Reform Committee, where Opposition Leader Mark Golding has instructed his representatives not to sign off on the report due to some concerns. We now still have with us the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Marlene Malahoo Fort. You're still with us, Minister?
What if you heard no?
So, Minister, you've heard the concerns.
We call you back.
Minister, you've heard the concerns of the opposition as outlined by Mr. Hilton. So, the first question I want to put to you, why will the government not share the report? We understand it's not final. Why not just share the report publicly so we can have that debate and have that discussion?
So let's start on a note on which we all agree that accuracy matters.
Yes.
The report will be shared. The report will be tabled in the Parliament. We are just sequencing the steps of having the report sent to the Cabinet before it goes public. That's one. The issue of restriction on the report when it was in the draft stage was because during the process we had a draft document leaked, and discussions proceeded in the public on the draft as if what was contained in the draft was final. And so we had to manage the risk of ensuring that the draft document, the draft report under consideration, did not get into the public space where it would be discussed as if it was a final document. But at all time it was made clear that the restrictions on the draft did not include making it available for discussion by the representatives and their leader. However, that was understood and communicated or miscommunicated is unfortunate, but it certainly wouldn't be because of anything I said. Having said that, let me just say that I really commend Member of Parliament Anthony Hilton and Senator Donna Scott Motley for engaging the process very constructively in the true spirit of compromise and give and take. And I found that they represented the concerns of their parties very well and clearly. When you are engaged in a process, if you are not present in it, you may not fully appreciate what is required when matters come under deliberation. In the same way that if you are sitting on the sideline at a match, you experience it very differently from the player who has to respond to the bumps and the bruises and the push and the pressure on court. So that you don't get a full perspective and a full appreciation of anything if you've not been part of it. And I think you have to be willing to hear from those who have been part of it as to why a recommendation came out the way it did, because it truly has been a process of give and take, of reasoning, of taking into account the concerns of the public, of ensuring that at the end of the day, what is recommended is properly reasoned.
I hear the tone of conciliation and the extending the olive branch, Minister. But do you think that appreciates the hardness of the position of the opposition leader? Because, as Mr. Hilton said repeatedly, a red line. And so I suppose I'm asking, why doesn't the government simply allow the matter of the CCJ to go to the people of Jamaica at the same time as the matter of the monarchy? What is the harm you see in doing that?
If you frame it like that, we may get to the wrong answer. So there is no disagreement that we must deal with the issue of the final court as we are making the most fundamental reforms to the Constitution. We are in uncharted waters. You know, if you fail, you're going to fail big and fail at everything. The way the Constitution is framed, it requires consensus to go forward.
Right, but according to it seems Mr. Golding is saying if you agree to this, there would be consensus.
Hear me out. At no time has the government said no. What the government has said is that we do not have consensus on this matter. There are many views. In the same way that we have heard people identified with the People's National Party, those who have even run for office, express staunchly their support for the retention of the Privy Council.
Valerie Nita Robertson.
We have different views, not the only one. We have different views. So it needs time to build out. But beyond that, I shared in another place that the question of which court is intimately wrapped up in the issue of the kind of justice that we need. So that if we are not prepared to discuss what our final court should look like, what the institutional arrangements should be, what the judicial policy should look like, then something is amiss. Because
but I don't understand the opposition leader to say. But I don't understand the opposition leader to be saying we shouldn't have the discussion. It's a matter of when we have the discussion.
Right.
And he's saying let's have it now.
Right. So we are talking about major reform on patriating the Constitution of Jamaica. What does that involve? Because we know that the Constitution is contained in an imperial instrument, though it was framed, drafted, and debated in Jamaica. There are technical things around that.
Does the government have a position? Does the government have a position on whether... No, because we're running out of time, Minister, and I really want to get in the points. Does the government have a position on whether it prefers the Privy Council or the CCJ?
I think the views are still being canvassed. The views are divided on that.
Does the Jamaica Labour Party... Does the Jamaica Labour Party have a position on it?
The views are divided.
But then doesn't that lend credence to Mr. Golding's point that the problem is the government? The government can't figure out where it stands on this issue.
No, I don't frame it like that.
Certainly that's Mr. Golding's framing, and that's why he's objecting.
To make a decision on it, you need consensus, and the consensus does not currently exist. So we are going through a process so that we can arrive at consensus on which court.
When you say we are going through a process, who is the we?
Are we referring to the we as in the JLP
yes,
or
who
the
is
country?
The we? Who is the we?
The Prime Minister has already begun to canvass the views of the various constituents that support the Jamaica Labour Party. There are many who are conservative and are saying, yes, we understand that we have to go to the court, but
But didn't the Prime Minister give the impression it was settled in that he wanted it to go to the people? Wasn't that his settled position in 2016?
I know you are rushed for time, but if you really want to get a proper understanding of the issue,
because that was his position.
Hear me.
No, but wasn't that his position?
The matter of the court does not require a referendum. What the Prime Minister said and what he meant is that on this issue, it would be helpful to get the views of the people, and that is why he would put it to a non-binding referendum, an indicative referendum, along with other issues.
So why not do that? Why haven't we done that since 2016?
Would you know? Come on, Ricardo. This thing takes time.
You've been in office for 8 years and it has never been put in that non-binding referendum. Why?
Because we have not held a referendum in independent Jamaica.
And the Prime Minister promised it 8 years ago, so why haven't we done it is the question.
Would you put that question to the Prime Minister when it comes?
I'm hoping the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs has some understanding of where we're going with this process.
You know, Mr. Hilton just said you had a simplistic view and you asked him to complicate it. I'm going to agree with him.
No, please, because these are the questions. These are the questions the Jamaican people want to understand.
The matter requires a process, and we're going through the process. When you begin a journey, you take the journey in stages, step by step by step. Maybe some of you have different skills and you can take it all at once. Do you know what happens in our efforts to even change ordinary legislation and change everything all at once? The kind of confusion that results?
Minister Malahoo Ford, is it the concern then of the government that if they put this matter of the final appellate court to the Jamaican people alongside this matter of withdrawing from the monarchy, that it's essentially going to torpedo the whole thing?
As has happened in the rest of the region.
The experts have said that. But I remain hopeful that when we have the discussions, we will arrive at consensus on the matter of the court. I honestly remain hopeful.
But if the opposition has set their red line, Minister,
Constitutional reform, gentlemen, requires a national approach.
Agreed.
No one side can win and stick their heel in the sand.
Agreed, Minister, but let us look at the feasibility here.
You don't get across your disagreement through brute force and ignorance.
But Minister, I still would like to put this to you.
I am not liking this interview with both of you because you are being too impatient, and I do not wish for you to sensationalize this.
No, there's no sensationalization, Minister. The public sentiment
in reporting it, in the exercise.
And we are saying to you, a critical stakeholder is saying that the way you're going about it has given him pause to the point where he's seeming to withdraw his support. And we're trying to understand where the government is. You say you're going through a process. Where are you exactly in this process?
We are about to report to the Cabinet to have the matters raised, and included in the recommendations are expressions of the concerns raised on the matter of the final court, and that will go before the Cabinet, because what is required is not a matter that can be resolved in the medium of the CRC, so that if we don't get the report to Cabinet, because after all, the change takes place by a bill for an act of Parliament. So we can talk all we want in the public square. If we don't get to the stage where we table a bill for an act of Parliament, we're not going to get closer to addressing the issue. Here is what I want to leave with you and the listeners.
Minister, we're out of time.
That the constitutional framework requires consensus.
And if Mr. Golding doesn't sign the report, will you go ahead?
Together. But that's a real risk. It's a real risk.
Right. So will you proceed? Will you proceed without?
I'm saying that we will have to speak.
Okay.
But Minister, in your own words, as you've said before, without the consensus and agreement and the buy-in of the opposition, this process is doomed to fail. You have said that yourself.
I am one of those who believe that things can happen, doesn't matter how difficult they are. I'm one of those who believe that it is the right and proper thing to do for us to change our form of government. I'm one who believes very firmly that we must advance the goals of independence. We may not be able to take all the steps at once, but we certainly must take them to get us in the direction closer to what we want to achieve. We must close the gap. So that is where I am. It doesn't matter how you go around and come around. What the listeners need to understand is that we're going through a process. And yes, you may be impatient, but I believe that if this process fails, it will be very difficult to awaken the interest of the people again, because they're going to feel that there have been so many false starts and stop, and might as well we just leave things as they are, and I think that would be worse than trying to do it incrementally.
Marlene Malahoo Fort is the Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs. We appreciate your time as always. The headlines are next.
Say hello to peace of mind and goodbye to worry with Guardian Life's new Ultimate Provider Plan and secure your medical expenses in the event of critical illness today. Call 888-367-5433 for details.
The time by Guardian Life is
2 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Mayor of Lucy, Sheridan Samuels, says the National Water Commission, NWC, and AMH are the greatest threats to the growth of the country. Mayor Samuels stopped short of saying what the AMH abbreviation stands for. He was expressing concern about the lack of water in the parish amid a prolonged drought.
The fire brigade doing better than you. The fire brigade doing better than you. You know that NSWMA doing better than you too. You know that the biggest threat to the livelihood of this country, not water, but NWC and AMH. You are the two biggest threats to the livelihood and the growth of this country. I can tell you that. Check it out. Use the middle name.
Sheridan Samuels, Mayor of Lucy. On Wednesday, several business entities in Lucy closed their doors early due to the lack of water. Deputy Mayor of Lucy, Andre Dehaney Grant, says the situation is dire.
Westmoreland have one purpose out here. We need to put some things in place to make Westmoreland have their own water treatment plant to serve the parish. We can't send out people water from up here and then our people are suffering. Them call for the Ministry of Education almost every day, and many can attest to that. Schools, health centers, everywhere that the parish have no water. I can't tell the last time it's no water.
Deputy Mayor of Lucy, Andre Dehaney Grant. Meanwhile, Nationwide News understands that NWC employees in sections of Hanover and Westmoreland have asked to be transferred because they're being abused by customers to include members of the business community. The abuse, they allege, stems from the lack of potable water amid ongoing drought conditions. But President of the Negril Chamber of Commerce, Elaine Allen Bradley, says the claims are not true.
Why would they be threatening? That's my point. Why would they? They would be encouraging them to provide water for them, not threatening them. And the business people would never in a million years threaten anybody at all, never mind NWC workers. So that's a false allegation for a start. Don't know where it's coming from. I've not heard it. And I've just spoken to a couple of business people, and they have not heard it either. So where these allegations are coming from, we do not know.
Mrs. Allen Bradley hastened to say that the business community has been severely affected by the lack of water. She adds that the NWC workers may be misinterpreting their pleas for water as threats.
Why would you want to threaten somebody you want to do their job and deliver water? Maybe they are misunderstood when people say that NWC are not doing the job they are being paid to do, and meaning that they are not providing the service that they are supposed to provide. Yet they are giving people bills. And one hotel got a bill when they've not had water for months, and they had a bill for $7 million. Now, is that realistic? And they're still buying water. So maybe they're saying or misinterpreting that when they're saying NWC is inefficient and ineffective, maybe they're thinking of it as a threat.
Elaine Allen Bradley, president of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. Another member of the Jamaican diaspora in the United States is describing as a failure a protest organized by Captain Rupert Francis and Wilfred Rattigan that took place in New York on Friday. Educator and freelance journalist George Lawson, who visited the precincts of the Jamaican consulate where the protest took place, says the activity was not well supported.
This protest, Rattigan Francis protest in New York, it never really attracted the kind of attention that the partisans were expecting, although they have been planning this for months now. What was really noticeably about it was the inability of the organizers to get the event any kind of coverage by any of the major news network in New York. The inability for them to really get the kind of attention they were expecting from the major news network here to make Jamaica look very bad is an indication that it was a failure.
George Lawson, educator and freelance journalist. Both Rattigan and Francis have said they were protesting against what they say is the unsatisfactory response of the government of Jamaica to challenges facing the country. Earlier today, a leading member of the Jamaican diaspora in the United States, Dr. Clovis Nelson, also described the protest as lukewarm.
The weather is a little bit rainy and cold, where this supposed protest from the anti-Jamaican activists who are bent on trying to embarrass Jamaica and tear down the country in the heart of New York. Well, let me tell you this now. Their protest is very weak. Their protest is not as potent as one would thought. After all these months of planning, their protest doesn't have much zest to it at all. We have some Jamaicans out here, patriotic Jamaicans, who are standing up for brand Jamaica. Despite the weather, despite the cold, we do have some patriots here in the crowd.
Dr. Clovis Nelson, leading member of the Jamaican diaspora in the United States. The Urban Development Corporation, UDC, says it remains committed to supporting the country's craft vendors. This follows a press conference on Thursday where some vendors from craft markets in St. Anne raised concerns about the state of the markets. President of the Pineapple Craft Traders Association, Claire Pink Bruce, also lamented the difficulties in getting new leases and licenses.
I'm saying to UDC again, you're in breach. And you know you're in breach. And I don't want you to shut nothing down Pineapple Craft Market Road. We have always complied with you and know you have gone too far. So we are sending this message to you today. Come and talk to us. Come and sit with us as if we are decent citizens of Jamaica and talk with us and don't shout at us on the phone wherever we go telling us you have to sign like we're children. We are business people of Outreers of Jamaica. That's my message to you today.
Claire Pink Bruce, president of the Pineapple Craft Traders Association. But on Friday, the UDC says it met with the Pineapple Craft Traders on April 23 to update and finalize their licensing agreements. The UDC adds that several projects to uplift and clean the markets are underway. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. Sports is next.
Make we keep Jamaica clean. Me as if we keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica clean. Our duty to keep our island clean. Mobile to Kingston, sidewalk and beach. Bag it, bill it, recycle it, please. Proper garbage disposal, make we do it. Keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
Variety is the spice of life. That's not just true for entertainment, it's true for investing too. While stocks, bonds, and cash are effective, there are other credible investment options out there. These are alternative investments, ranging from digital options like cryptocurrencies to old school investments like gold, real estate, and private equity. You can invest on your own or via a fund with a curated portfolio of investment options.
Visit barita.com/opportunities for more growth coach insights.
Get
Get ready! The best ever international meet to be staged in Jamaica. The inaugural Jamaica Athletics Invitational, a World Continental Tour Silver with a star-studded cast of international and local stars. Saturday, May 11, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the National Stadium. Plus, a surprise entertainment package never seen before in Jamaica. Admission, finish area $3,000. Regular grandstand $2,500. Bleachers free with tickets obtained from outlets including the Stadium Ticket Office, Ticket Outlet, Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, and the National Stadium Ticket Office. Starting May 8th and online via MysticOnlineTix.com. April 22 to May 4. The inaugural Jamaica Athletics Invitational, a World Continental Tour Silver. Saturday, May 11, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the National Stadium.
It's our Mother's Day weekend sale at the Ashley Furniture Home Store, and we've got everything for Mom with up to 20% off select styles. Shop gifts for her starting at $2,999. Plus, enjoy 25% off all decorative accessories. Finance or Fave styles on 6 to 8 months credit. Get the perfect gift for Mom during the Ashley Furniture Home Store's Mother's Day weekend sale, May 9 to 12. This is home. Conditions apply.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alwick Swaby. We kick things off with some football as the Jamaica Football Federation, JFF, reappointed Hubert Busby as head coach of the senior women's national team. In a release, the JFF says Busby was reappointed after careful consideration and due process. Busby was removed from the position when the JFF requested FIFA to investigate unsavory media reports originating in Europe. FIFA has subsequently cleared Busby. Former coach of the Reggae Girls, Charlie Edwards, is in agreement with the decision.
I have no problem because the truth of the matter is that we can't hold somebody guilty until proven guilty. And if FIFA has cleared him, then obviously they have found that whatever the accusations are or were, he's not guilty of it. The problem is if he is guilty and then he's cleared because not insufficient evidence or whatever it is, then it's not a good thing. But we can't speculate on that. We have to allow the man to be, and if he has been returned to the job, then that's something we have to respect also.
This is Busby's second stint with the team, having held the position from 2020 to 2021. The JFF says, based on Busby's vast experience and knowledge of the squad, they think he is the perfect individual to take the team through the next stage of its development. Busby will therefore take charge of the squad, which will play 2 international friendlies against Brazil on June 1 and June 4 in Brazil. Edwards says, we'll have to wait and see if Busby will be effective this time around.
He was a part of the winning team that went to the World Cup the first time, 2019, and the girls knows him very well, and he might be able to bring some stability to the program. The question that we have to ask ourselves now is, with Sidela out of the program, how functional will he be if he's not getting the usual support from her and all of these things and the girls having all these hiccups? How functional will he be? Will he be able to cope with the program as it is right now? So it's a lot of questions to be asked. I think over a period of time and early in his tenure, you'll start to see things shaping up in the direction that it definitely will end up in. So we have to give him a chance and we have to wait and see what happens.
Charlie Edwards. The JFF also thanked Xavier Gilbert for acting in the role of head coach since October 2023. He will revert to his previous role as assistant coach. The Professional Football Jamaica Limited PFJL has collaborated with Malta to introduce the Elite Under-17 Development Football Program. This is a junior-level training initiative offering opportunities for young talents to further ignite passion for the sport and channel true Jamaican energy. CEO of the PFJL, Owen Hill, says the program aims to provide a pathway for young players to progress into a local, international or regional clubs and academies.
The concept here is to create an elite level junior football development program at the club level, essential to the national development of our sport. This program will enable our youth players to improve their technical and tactical skills in a manner that will be globally adaptable. Mandatory coaching education will be embedded in the delivery of the program with outcomes such as individual clubs and player development plans being implemented. So we're not just trying to create a football tournament where everybody tries to win and you win at all costs. No, We're looking at developing our talent and by extension allow them to be globally adaptable.
Owen Hill. Through this program, clubs will have the opportunity to participate using their best junior players between the ages of 15 to 17 and will involve 4 Premier League clubs: Arnott Gardens, Waterhouse, Portmore United and Harbourview. PFJL, in collaboration with these clubs, will administer 3 football festivals where teams will compete in an equitable format to determine the champions on the day. The games will follow traditional football competition rules and will be hosted over 3 consecutive months, starting on May 25 and ending on July 27, where the teams will compete against each other. Malta brand manager Jodian Campbell says the program aims to equip the players and their parents or guardians with the essential tools to improve their professional and social development skills.
We have crafted workshops with prominent and critique session leaders who will provide these footballers and their caregivers with the expertise on personal and social development, holistic health, and of course, technical skills on the field. Therefore, by leveraging our expertise of the PFJL, we aim to deliver an excellent developmental football program that will propel the sport to new heights in Jamaica.
Jodian Campbell. Defending champions Fraser's Whip take on Cavalier in the first match of a doubleheader in the Jamaica Women's Premier League at the Anthony Spalding Complex tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. In the second match, Arnott Gardens welcome Springers United. Meanwhile, Real Mobay tussle with Proven Girls at Spot Valley High School at 1:30 p.m. And now to athletics, as Kiri McLeod was the only Jamaican to achieve a podium finish in Doha today, the third stop on the Wonder Diamond League circuit. McLeod won the men's long jump with his 4th leap of 8.52 meters. His teammate Tajay Gale finished 5th with 8.01 meters. Meanwhile, Natoya Gould-Toppin finished 6th in a season best 1 minute 59.74 seconds in the women's 800 meters. The event was won by Kenya's Mary Moray in a season's best 1 minute 57.91 seconds. Andrew Hudson finished 7th in the men's 200 meters in 20.53 seconds, and Natasha Morrison was 7th in the women's 100 meters in 11.37 seconds. Some of the biggest athletes in the world will be on display in Kingston tomorrow evening at the first ever staging of the Jamaica Athletics Invitational, starting at 7:30 p.m. The likes of former world champion Diana Asher-Smith, Fred Curley, and Kristen Coleman, along with Julian Alfred, a newly minted world champion over 60 meters, and the brilliant African Marie-Jose Talou, are also donned for action. Both Marie-Jose Talou of the Ivory Coast and Britain's Diana Asher-Smith agree that there is no room for complacency in women's sprinting. Asher-Smith, who has moved for a training camp to Austin in Texas, says she's highly motivated to compete at the very top level given the competitive nature of women's sprinting.
I think it actually makes it easier because there are so many phenomenal and truly phenomenal, and I say that with a capital P and underlined, phenomenal women right now that are sprinting. There's so many of them and they are so talented that all you can do is focus on yourself. That's honestly, when you actually think about it, that's all you can do because you have absolutely no control over your rivals. There's too many people to try and, get in one person's head or do any of those silly, I'm not that kind of girl anyway. You guys know me for a while, but even if you were that so way inclined, there's too many people to do that too. So you truly just have to, every single day, try your best, keep pushing, keep improving, asking your coach, was that good enough? If it's a no, what do I need to do to get better? But that's all you can do. And I think because we are in that kind of time, that actually makes it simple because you only have control over your own actions and all you can do is keep pushing to get better.
Diana Asher-Smith. Talou, who has been close to becoming global champion on several occasions, believes once she remains grounded, the reward will come.
It's a sport that I have around because sometimes it can be tough, it's like, it's too hard, it's too much, I just want to just give up. And then the support around let me remind me that, okay, you can do it. And also I'll say my faith because, I'm a big believer, so I take my strength in prayer, and I think God gives me also the strength to always come and showcase my talent every year, so yeah.
Mayor Jose Talou, Nationwide 90 FM will have live coverage of the meet during Sports Nation Live. And finally, in cricket, the West Indies senior men's team will have an action-packed schedule featuring 3 international home tours against South Africa, England, and Bangladesh from May to December 2024. The home tours begins with a visit from South Africa featuring 3 T20 international at Sabina Park prior to the start of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. The Proteas then return to the region after the West Indies Test tour to England in July, with 2 Test matches to be played in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana. This will be followed by a second 3-match T20 International Series at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad, ahead of the Republic Bank Caribbean Premier League CPL. Following a white ball tour away to Sri Lanka in October, the West Indies will welcome England to the Caribbean for a white ball tour consisting of 3 CG United one-day internationals and 5 T20 internationals. The series will be played across Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, and St. Lucia. Bangladesh then completes the year with an all-format tour before Christmas with 2 Test matches in Antigua and Barbuda and Jamaica, 3 CG United one-day internationals in St. Kitts and Nevis, and 3 T20 internationals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm Alex Swiby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:23.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
3 meters clear, 5 meters clear, and away he goes. He continues on his way towards another gold medal. 5 gold medals, 5 world records.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Fosrich, fostering rich customer service across all locations island-wide.
The best ever international meet to be staged in Jamaica. The inaugural Jamaica Athletics Invitational, a World Continental Tour Silver with a star-studded cast of international and local stars. Saturday, May 11, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the National Stadium. Featuring the Olympic champion Hansel Parchment, former world champion Fred Curley, British record holder Zarnell Hughes, rising triple jump sensation Jaden Hibbert, Kyron McMaster, and Kristen Coleman, 2-time world champion Danielle Williams, former world champion Dina Asher-Smith, world record holder Toby Amusa, world championship medalist Shanika Ricketts, Marie-José Talou, St. Lucian Hot Shot, Julian Alfred, Nia Ali, Rochelle Clayton, Kemba Nelson, plus a surprise entertainment package never seen before in Jamaica.
Invest in Jamaica and make your money grow. Invest in Mayberry Jamaican Equities Bond, a safe and purposeful way to invest. How? We carefully invest your funds in top local companies, empowering you to profit from multiple businesses, not just one. With a minimum investment of just $20,000 and an interest rate of up to 10.5% per annum, it's more than just growth. It's profit with purpose. Discover more at www.profitwithpurposeja.com or contact your investment advisor for full details. Profit with purpose. Invest with Mayberry.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Roby Ann Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you for tuning in. You know, as always, we want to hear from you. We ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. Now, you know, on a Friday we do it different. We do it differently, yeah. On a Friday we take all the heaviness away from you of the news and we give you a more light-hearted question. So in Public Opinion, we're asking today, ackee and saltfish or ackee and corn pork?
It can only be ackee and saltfish, you know, boss. I don't eat pork.
As a matter of fact, ackee and saltfish with a little corn pork in it is perfect.
Ackee and saltfish, definitely.
Nationwide, I want to do to me. I can't do this to me, man. I like both of them. Anyone I see him from, I like both of them.
Ackee and corn pork, I love that.
Ackee and corn pork.
Ah, you hear it there. Well, may I declare my bias from no. No, none of them. It's ackee and tin mackerel for me. Yeah. But all right, let's get to the comments on our social media platform real quick. On X, Afghanistan Rasta says, strictly ital ackee and saltfish. Leave out the pork. Soul Root says, no put no egg in a me ackee. Underpaid Man says, ackee can't be the same without corn pork. You see them something, you know? All right. Don O'Mealy says, corn pork is a must. Saltfish is imported. Let me see if I can find... O'Neill says saltfish. Yes, O'Neill says saltfish. So ackee and saltfish over ackee and corn pork for O'Neill. On our Facebook platform, Neil Walters says ackee and corn pork. Mud. Just the thought of it and my mouth run water. All right, Michael Johnson says ackee and saltfish, of course. Little But Talawa says, don't make me get dark. Ackee and saltfish to the world. What sweet so? Well, you tell we, little bud Talawa. Philip Jackson says, the first must never be substituted for the second. Ackee and saltfish first, all others with ackee come second. Well, you know, it's the national dish. Rosalind Buck says ackee and corn pork. Georgina Brighton says ackee and saltfish, of course. Beverly Barrett says ackee with corn pork. Barbara is saying ackee and saltfish. Edney Powell says ackee and saltfish. But I can't get any good corn pork for the longest. Oh, you can't get any good corn pork for the longest while? Nicholson says ackee and saltfish. Pamela Bennett says ackee and salt. I'm seeing most ackee and saltfish here on Facebook. Mark Julius saying ackee and corn pork. He's saying that it's super delicious with some warm fried dumpling. I'm going to tell you about a combination there. The ackee and corn pork with the fried dumpling. When I was pregnant, I had that, and it was the only thing that made me puke, you know? Nothing else but the ackee and corn pork, it made me puke. And from then till now, I have not had it, which is about a couple years, 7 years more than that. Yeah, 7 to 8 years. Natalie Winter says ackee by itself or white rice, or with white rice. Yeah, seasoned rice. Yeah, seasoned rice, them call it. Yes. Ricardo Porter says ackee and saltfish. And I'm seeing an ackee and pork coming from Nicole. Let me see what's happening on our YouTube platform. Chardon Hall says ackee and salt pork. Marcia Dixon says ackee and saltfish, pork skin. All right, you mix up everything. Betsy Powell says ackee and corn pork. Douglas Rogers says me eat ackee and saltfish 7 days a week. Would you look at that? Bird Plus is putting in one red ring with ackee. You know, say me not eat red ring. I don't know, man. Too much of the little fine bone them. Me as a girl, me not really like the bone things, you know. Hyacinth Smith says ackee and salt mackerel. You're there. All right. Herman Hyatt says no scavenge around here, so it's ackee and salt fish. Patrick Miller said ackee and salt fish. Also, Villa is saying ackee and salt fish. Anything else is one off. All right. Let me see. Cheryl Griffith says ackee and salt mackerel. Isa Mario says ackee and everything. Gertrude Brown says no corn pork round here. Love me ackee and saltfish.
I'm seeing Aki and saltfish more than the Aki and current pork, Precious soul again with Aki and saltfish. So I like this one, Shy Boss TV. Aki and chicken back, and a long time I eat that. Aki and chicken back. Aki and chicken back nice, Aki and chicken back nice. Kurt Buchanan says Aki and corn pork. Clash Cam says Aki and saltfish nice, but Aki and corn pork hits different. I'm gonna make somebody cook Aki and corn pork. Give me not any somebody, but somebody that I know, of course. Let me see. Big Doc Link says Aki and saltfish. So too David Nabar says Aki and saltfish. Alex Smith says well fried pork. Do it best. Not eating a fish. Well, look like Duppy. You know how Duppy look, Alec? You see Duppy? Lorraine Young says Aki and red ring. Who am I says Aki and saltfish not nutritious. Ursuline Bowen says roasted Aki as what? Roasted Aki as cheese, otherwise saltfish. Roasted Aki and I don't what are you saying there? Otherwise saltfish or mackerel? Carlene Smith is saying Aki and saltfish. Marigold Weber, Aki and Franks. Big up yourself, Marigold Weber. Aki and Franks. Yes, Aki and Franks and Aki and chicken back. I love that bad. Love that bad. Barbara Ellington says chicken back is for soup. Wanna come back with this or for my dog? To each his own. I don't know. I love chicken back. Kurt Buchanan says you're going to cook it for me? I'm holding you to that one, Kurt Buchanan. Big up yourself. Big up yourself. For me, I don't really. Don't really. I can't tell when last me eat saltfish. I don't eat saltfish. I can say that I don't eat saltfish. And the corn pork thing, I don't know, man. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way about 7 years ago, and from that, I've never had it again. Leonard Seville says Aki and saltfish. Fabian Brown is saying Aki and corn pork for me. D-Muse says Aki, nice with anything. It's just, Aki is very, very nice with everything. Aki and cabbage, I've never heard of that combination before. I've never heard of that combination. But we take what and we turn it make what fashion. Anything we can go on, any little creative cooking can go on, we that. And that's where I have to end it this evening for our public opinion. You know that we love your responses, especially on a Friday where we, take it down a notch. Thank you guys so much for participating. All the best for your weekend. Do stay tuned for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Don't let poor vision hold your children back. IQ Optical gives complimentary standard reflection-free lenses to children and teachers until May 31. Conditions apply.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. NCB Financial Group Limited, NCBFG, has announced its second quarter financial results, marking a significant 98% increase in net profit. In a media release on Friday, the company says its continued strategic focus on efficiency, governance, and customer experience has propelled its growth trajectory, with plans for an additional public offer, APO, to further fuel its strategic initiatives. NCBFG reported consolidated net profit of $13.7 billion for the 6 months ended March 2024. This represents a remarkable 98% or $6.8 billion increase over the previous year. The company's group CFO Malcolm Sattler noted a robust asset base of $2.26 trillion, and that's a 7% increase. They say it was driven by loans and investment securities, including pledged assets and reverse repurchase agreements. Further afield, stronger than expected growth at the start of the year saw the UK emerge from recession. The economy grew by 0.6% between January and March, the fastest rate for 2 years, official figures show. The UK fell into recession at the end of last year after shrinking for 2 3-month periods in a row. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said the economy had turned a corner, but Labour said this was no time for a victory lap. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 157 Jamaican dollars and 23 cents to buy $1 US, 196 Jamaican dollars and 61 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 115 Jamaican dollars and 22 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. And that's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
Do you owe the NWC? Don't worry. The NWC's Pay and Save program can help you. Yes, you can get a 10 to 20% discount off when you pay balances that are 90 days or older. And if you can't pay everything in full, you can enter into a payment arrangement. Take advantage of this great opportunity by visiting any NWC commercial office island-wide. For more information about the NWC's Pay and Save program, visit nwcjamaica.com or call 888-NWC. Conditions apply.
This outstanding 6'4" athlete credits Jamaica with her first Olympic victory ever.
Jamaica is filled with Olympians.
World record holder McKinley dashes into the lead.
We must never forget the forerunners of Jamaican Olympic greatness.
Coming into the home stretch, it's Wint who challenges the leader.
Win or lose, athletes never forget their Olympic experience.
Merely Notti has devastated another world-class field. And Hemmings is going to do it. Hemmings wins it. She's the champion. A personal...
Win or lose, Jamaicans will cheer the loudest at the Olympics so that the world will never forget who we are.
And Usain Bolt is moving away. And Jamaica retain their title. And the world record has been taken apart. Oh, I say.
From July 26 to August 11, tune in only to Nationwide 90 FM for the coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, because we're here to ensure that you never forget. Nationwide's coverage is powered by our bronze sponsors: National Road Operating and Construction Company Limited, Digicel, Grace Foods, Spirits of Jamaica, Imperial Optical Jamaica, and Rainforest Caribbean.
It's our Mother's Day weekend sale at the Ashley Furniture Home Store, and we've got everything for Mom with up to 20% off select styles. Shop gifts for her starting at $2,999. Plus, enjoy 25% off all decorative accessories. Finance or fave styles on 6 to 48 months credit. Get the perfect gift for Mom during the Ashley Furniture Home Store's Mother's Day weekend sale, May 9 to 12. This is home. Conditions apply.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
This outstanding 6'4" athlete credits Jamaica with her first Olympic victory ever.
Jamaica is filled with Olympians.
World record holder McKinley dashes into the lead.
We must never forget the forerunners of Jamaican Olympic greatness.
Coming into the home stretch, it's Wint who challenges the leader.
Win or lose, athletes never forget their Olympic experience.
Merely Notti has devastated another world-class field. And Hemmings is going to do it. Hemmings wins it. She's the champion. A personal...
Win or lose, Jamaicans will cheer the loudest at the Olympics so that the world will never forget who we are.
And Usain Bolt is moving away. And Jamaica retain their title. And the world record has been taken apart. Oh, I say.
From July 26 to August 11, tune in only to Nationwide 90 FM for the coverage of the 2024 Paris Olympic Games, because we're here to ensure that you never forget. Nationwide's coverage is powered by our bronze sponsors: National Road Operating and Construction Company Limited, Digicel, Grace Foods, Spirits of Jamaica, Imperial Optical Jamaica, and Rainforest Caribbean.
Chewy flavor with delight. It really, really nice. May I say it twice?
The time by Jamaica Mountain Peak Golden Turmeric Latte is
6:41. Welcome back, listeners, viewers. It's 6:41, and you're now into the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Well, we're turning to diaspora affairs now. At least two members of the Jamaican diaspora in the United States are describing as weak and anticlimactic a protest held this morning by some members of the diaspora. The protest was held in front of the Jamaican consulate in New York City.
The protest was organized by Captain Rupert Francis and attended by Wilfred Rattigan. Both men say they are displeased about issues which they say are plaguing Jamaica and the response of the government.
But a member of the Jamaican diaspora who visited the outskirts of the consulate today and was among a group of Jamaicans who chanted pro-Jamaican slogans, Dr. Clovis Nelson, says the protest organized by Francis was lukewarm. Another Jamaican who identified herself as Chantel, who visited the scene of the protest, also described it as being lackluster.
The anti-Jamaica protest saw a lackluster turnout attributed not only to inclement weather but also to widespread disapproval within our Jamaican diaspora in New York towards such anti-Jamaica demonstration.
That's Chantel, a member of the Jamaican diaspora living in the United States. Meanwhile, the group of protesters, some of whom adorned themselves in the Jamaican flag with the words corruption written on it, were accused by the group of Jamaicans against the protest of betraying the island.
Traitors! 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 Traitors!
Well, there you have it, listeners. Well, joining us to discuss further are member of the Jamaican diaspora, Dr. Clovis Nelson, and head of the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, Captain Rupert Francis. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. Let's start with you, Captain Francis. They said the protest that you held was lackluster. What do you respond in regards to that?
I don't know whoever said that doesn't know the meaning of lackluster. They don't understand it. And of course they'll throw cold water in it when they only had 9 persons there on their side. However, self-praise is no recommendation, but it was a tremendous, tremendous success. And then I can explain why if you wish. When we want to thank the over 350 persons who came there, and they turned out from all parts of Jamaica. The USA, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Right? I also want to thank the many persons who tried to get in and entered the cordon area by the police, and they were turned back because we reached capacity. According to a reporter that was there, a final point I can make on this right now, from the Jamaica Observer, they were told by the police that at that time when they asked, the capacity were 240 persons, and it grew ever since that. So I can't understand how these persons who are on the other side of the I could have said that. But of course, anyone who can call me a thug, who knows me, can call me a thug like Clovis Nelson, must know what a thug's life is like. That's all I have to say for now.
What was your objective in organizing this protest?
The objective is the same as we've always been, to bring awareness to the situation in Jamaica. The conditions that are...
To bring awareness to the situation in Jamaica for who? Who are you bringing awareness for?
The Jamaican people.
The Jamaican people who live in Jamaica?
And the world. We would like to...
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Who did you say the Jamaican people were? You said that you're bringing awareness for the Jamaican people.
Yes.
The Jamaican people where?
In Jamaica and the world.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the diaspora, especially.
So what is the nature of your grouse, essentially, in terms of how the government is handling situations here in Jamaica?
Well, the nature of growth is simple. On December 27th, I wrote a letter to the ambassador outlining the matters that we wanted to be addressed. And the number one thing was the murder rate. The next thing was...
And when you say, let me just ask, when you say the murder rate, Jamaica's had a murder problem for better part of maybe 40 years. Have you organized previous demonstrations on the previous administrations?
There was, listen to me, I went down, we met directly with the Minister of National Security at the time. We
defined at the time.
I'm sorry.
What time?
Yeah, right. The question was, have you organized demonstrations on the previous administrations?
There was no need to organize demonstrations because they were willing to listen and work with us in regards to what we were proposing.
So you
no need.
So you believe there's a failing on the part of the Andrew Holness administration, specifically in terms of how their response to crime, or in terms of engaging the diaspora in their response to crime?
Yes, and you know what is also true is that the Minister of National Security, and I think...
I'm sorry, I just want to be clear on the facts, because the facts are that this government has increased the national security budget of the country more than any other. That's a fact. Do you deny that?
Are we talking about budget, or are we talking about people dying, my friend?
No. But what is government's response in that? Government's response has to be a policy response.
Government's response should be leadership of the nation.
And in leadership, you allocate, and I can't think of a more indicative measure of leadership than where the government chooses to spend money. And crime and national security has had a significant spend.
I want to ask you a question. You are asking me questions. I'm asking you what?
Well, I fear I'm the one who asked the questions in the interview. But I must ask you to respond to that. Do you deny that the government has spent more than any other national security?
They may have spent more than any other, but they have had the worst success ever in the history of crime in Jamaica. And I know.
So
because I know I've been following it.
So what exactly?
I remember I've been part of it myself in terms of the government.
So what exactly is it that you would like them to do differently?
I would like them to try, first of all, they start to listen and they start to accept people who have knowledge of the situation and would like to assist them, as we did before, to continue to do that, because it is obvious that it is not being done properly.
So you believe specifically they're not listening to the diaspora, as in your members, in terms of how to handle a crime problem that, let's be honest, you're quite removed from at the moment?
Let me explain. The name of the
No, I'm sorry. I didn't get to hear an answer to that question, which I think is a very important question.
Yes, I'm gonna answer it.
Okay.
Our name is Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, my brother. I have studied crime. I was in the Jamaica Defense.
As have many people who live in Jamaica. So Siobhan's question is, you are not directly affected by crime. Certainly the government has its advisors, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Commissioner here in Jamaica, the National Security Advisor who was appointed. They have advisors here. So, and you seem to be saying that because you're not being listened to in the diaspora, you're upset?
No, I'm not. I never mentioned the word upset.
Well, you staged a demonstration.
I'm upset because people are being killed. I'm upset because people are being killed, and it's not necessary. You know, if somebody goes out and says something about the Prime Minister, my brother, says something about the Prime Minister, they catch him in no time. Why is it that we can't get this to these people who are causing the problems in Jamaica?
Isn't that an oversimplification of the country's national security challenges, though?
What do you mean oversimplification? Are you saying I'm simple?
No. I'm asking you if your characterization of the challenge that we've faced over 40 years isn't overly simplistic just now.
It is not overly simple, my friend. It is absolutely not overly simple, because I'm telling you that I take this thing deeply, because we have spent a lot of money on our part as an organization to come down to Jamaica to identify the issues, identify the problems. Right?
We need to bring.
I'm telling you, we started out doing them, and then they stopped.
Captain Francis, we need to bring in Dr. Nelson. They're also on
Go
the
ahead,
line.
bring him in.
But I would still like to ask you, crime currently, as in the murder rate, which is the specific issue that most people have a problem with, is currently down by, I believe, 14% since the start of this year. So why is your...
It's not down by 14%.
Come again?
It's not true.
It's not true, but those are what the statistics suggest.
Well, they have said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. So you take.
But those would be the same statistics that we'd have used to measure crime for the better part of 50 years.
My brother, we have been measuring crime, but we have not been able to measure up on crime. We have not been able to fix the crime.
But we're suggesting, though, that the crime rate, the murder rate specifically, has fallen by 14% since the start of this year. That's a fact.
It's fallen by 14%, sir. We just checked it the other day. It's down by about 4%. Please go check your facts again.
We're telling you the facts as presented by the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
You're not telling me anything. You're doing the research. I'm doing research, and I happen to be.
So where have you received your information regarding the murder rate? If not from the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
About 4%.
No, but where did you get those figures from is the question.
My brother, the same place you could get it if you looked.
No, we told you where we got it from. No, we told you where we got ours from. So we're asking, where did you get yours from?
There are crime statistics throughout the world. Murder by rape.
Yeah, but we're speaking specifically about Jamaica, though.
Yes, specifically about Jamaica.
And we're asking you, where did you get your murder stats from?
Yes, I beg your pardon.
Where did you get your murder stats from?
I have already said, I have given you who you need to go and check.
No, you have not. You have not told us. You haven't answered the question. You asked Siobhan.
Why are you trying to make this in a... Why are you trying to have the argumentative? I know you're a reporter, but you're argumentative.
No, no. You see, we're trying. All right, let me explain. We're trying to get to the basis of the grouse that you have. You say you don't believe the government has done enough about crime and people dying. I accept you at your word, and that you hold that view in good faith. Siobhan has pointed out to you. On the one hand, I've said to you, one, they've invested more in national security. Siobhan has pointed out to you that the murder rate is falling. You're saying...
Falling. Oh, you didn't say falling. You said falling 14%.
Yes, since the start of the year. And you're saying that's not true.
No, it's about 4%, my brother.
And I'm asking you, where did you come by those stats?
I'll send you the information by email.
No, you could tell the listeners. I would want the listeners to know.
No, I am telling the listeners, and I'll also tell the listeners as well, and send them the information.
I put it to you that you do not have those stats.
Captain Francis, I have Captain Francis, please, and you may challenge this if you will, but let me point this out. This is from the Jamaica Constabulary Force's website. As of January 1st to May 4, the murder rate is down by 13.1%. So let me correct myself. Not 14%, but 13%. But you are saying it's closer to 4%. Explain where you have now gotten that statistic.
Let me make it quite clear. I do not know what the Jamaica's Constabulary website says, but I can guarantee you there are other websites that will contradict that.
Which, like one? Like, give me one. Give me one. Name one. Yes. Anyone?
What do you mean name one?
Yes, one of the websites that contradicts it.
My brother, are we talking about websites or are we talking about crime?
We are talking about crime, and we're talking about the statistics as they are presented. You're challenging these statistics.
Yes, Clovis can laugh, because it was a laughter today. Clovis
Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis.
Oh boy. He wants to be a caretaker.
Mr. Francis.
In the Jamaica Labour Party.
Mr. Francis.
He wants to be a caretaker, and that's why he's doing what he's doing.
Mr. Francis.
Because he didn't get it the last time.
All right, Mr. Francis. Let me ask you this.
Clovis is a fraud.
Let me ask you this. You should withdraw that, but let me ask you this.
What?
Is this protest simply an effort on your part to embarrass the Andrew Holness government?
What are you talking about, my friend?
It's yes or no. Was that really your intention?
That is not true, and you and I know that.
No, I don't know that. I'm asking you to tell me whether that was your intention.
That is not your intention.
It was not your intention.
Let me ask you, the press release that they sent out information? Was it their intention to demonize me at that point? And I have evidence from them how well I was doing and the group was doing.
Yeah. Okay. Let me get your reaction, Mr. Nelson. Dr.
How are
Nelson,
you?
sorry. I'm doing well.
What do you want me to react to?
Well,
that
first
laughable presentation that Dr. Francis just put out there. And as a matter of fact, let me say this. As a matter of protocol, I will relate to Dr. Francis with his title, Dr. Francis.
Yes.
For professional, ethical flow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm expecting the same. Okay? Now, give me a question that you would like me to report to.
Yeah,
to respond to.
so as you saw the protest, what you saw and what you think the aims are. We hear the aims are to bring attention of the global community to the problems plaguing Jamaica.
My reaction to that is simply this. If you have a mission that you believe, is the catalyst that leads you to a foreign country in the middle of the street to be launching and putting on a protest against your country and your government, right? And your protest or your reason does not include or involve the government of these foreign countries in which your protests are being launched, then to me, it means that you have an alternative and not necessarily looking for some kind of assistance from the municipalities in which you are placing your protest. In other words, if you are in the United States and you have a problem with what's going on in Jamaica and you are seeking attention, the place to go is not in the gutters of New York to drag the Jamaican flag and trample it in the mud to get your attention. The place to go would be to seek out the appropriate municipalities in the United States and lodge your complaint there. To be in the streets of New York, right, trying to embarrass Jamaica means that you have an alternative motive, an ulterior motive, some alternative intention. And I think it's all political.
But Dr. Nelson, certainly as...
something? The only person who's been political here...
Hold on, Mr. Francis, because we really haven't heard from Dr. Nelson throughout the interview. But Siobhan, you had a question? Yes.
Dr. Nelson, certainly as Jamaicans and members of the diaspora, they still have their concerns in terms of how the country is governed. And certainly they would like to use even that avenue as a measure of voicing those concerns. Would you agree that that is fair?
Repeat that question for me.
Would you agree that as members of the Jamaican diaspora, they do have concerns as to how the country should be governed, and utilizing a protest, wherever that protest may be, in whatever country, is a measure by which, a way by which they now voice those concerns? Would you think that's not fair as being members of the Jamaican diaspora?
Look, everybody has a right to demonstrate or to exercise their democratic, to exercise their democratic rights.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But I am thinking of it from the perspective of a national concern or a concern about a country, and you want to get some attention to this concern.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in the street with your complaint, is that the source through which you think you should go to get some attention?
Which then, let me ask you, Captain Francis, have you, before staging this protest, have you sought audience with the Jamaican government?
We have sought audience with the Jamaican government from day one. Nobody has any alternative motive, except maybe Dr. Nelson.
And what was the response you received from the government?
Absolutely none. We wrote a letter indicating on December 27, 2023, to the ambassador, to everyone, asking them to address certain concerns.
And when you say address the concerns, just help me with that.
The first concern was the murder rate. It was getting out of whack. And we asked them to address that. We asked them to.
No, but when you frame it that way, Captain Francis, you make it appear as if there's been no response to Jamaica's murder rate. And that's the
timing
seems
peculiar.
It's simply not true.
Let me tell you something. The resources that they said they spent was not well spent and was not in the right direction. I've spoken to the police at all levels. And I'm telling you, that's not how it should have been done.
And you would have spent it where?
There are two gangs in the political parties, the One Order and the Klansmen, and they have no control over them.
In an era where we've never seen so many gangsters brought before the courts.
No. Yes, the Klansman gang. Where's the One Order? That's what Klansman is, the PNP, and the One Order. Where's the One Order? They have not appeared. So you could call it persecution. I don't have a problem. I don't like gangs. We gave them a procedure to assist gangs and reduce gangs. It was offered by Captain Whittingham, a Jamaican in Los Angeles, where they reduced gang violence by 50%.
When you parse it out like that, a political affiliation of gangs, aren't you indirectly accusing the members of the security forces of political bias?
Listen, I never mentioned the members of the police.
Yeah, but they're the ones going after the gangs. They're the ones going after the gangs.
Hold on. Let me say this to you. Yes, of course you have policemen and police, I would imagine. But the majority of them are not that way. I support the police, and they know it. And let me make it quite clear how I support the police. How they treat the police. You remember Constable Donny Anderson, the one who had the liver problem? Right? And so 2.5 years, the Minister of National Security saw her and promised to give her help.
But
she came to the United States.
But Captain Francis,
I was the one on my team who helped her and saved her life for a while. And then when
Captain
they
Francis,
anymore, they sent her back to Jamaica.
But
what did they do? Let's discuss that.
Captain Francis, I think in further to Ricardo's question, you have essentially put or intimated a suggestion that the government is signaling out a specific politically affiliated gang, wherein it is the duty of the police force to tackle anti-gang. To go after the gangs.
Yes.
So you're essentially intimating that it is the police being political.
Do you know how Jamaica works?
So do you believe there is some
because I don't understand how you equate the work of the security forces in dismantling gangs to the political affiliation of the gang.
It is obvious you don't know what is happening in Jamaica.
No, so you are suggesting then that there is a political directorate that has given directorship to the JCF to say, okay, you're allowed to go after this gang, but you're not allowed to go after that gang. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm saying, not even suggesting, I'm suggesting that politics is involved in it. Politics is involved. And until we remove the politics from this issue, we will not be able to resolve it.
I think that's an unfortunate characterization, but I will move on. Why now? Is it because an election is looming?
Listen to me. Let me tell you something. Do you know that I represented the Jamaica Labour Party on
it's a simple question. Is it because an election is looming?
No, I'm answering your question. I'm asking you a question. Yes, I don't know about any elections.
Okay.
This is not political. This is about the Jamaican people. Stop making it about the politics. I'm not political.
May I ask a question here?
Go ahead, Dr. Nelson.
I would like to know, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Dr. Francis. Dr. Francis and I used to be very close friends, and I want to think that we are still friends. But my question to Dr. Francis is this. We know that he spent some time as captain in the Jamaica military. And I want to personally applaud him for his service. However, you and I know, or we all know, that the Jamaica military is not a military that has seen combat of any kind. And so for the most part, one could fairly say, we don't have any wars to fight. We've never been to any wars other than it was World War II, where some of the army went to be supportive of the U.S. and British forces, to my recollection. So my question is simply this. other than a ceremonial title, what qualifications does Dr. Francis have for fighting with regards to crime intervention and prevention?
You know, you have made the most disingenuous statement I've made, has ever been made. The Jamaica Defense Force has a history of World War II. It has gone to Grenada, gone to Haiti before. Many other incursions at Jamaica. Once the military was working and the police were working together, they had peace and harmony in Jamaica for the most part. Let me also talk about my qualifications. I did a bachelor's in psychology and criminal justice. I have a master's in forensic psychology, and I also did my doctorate and my dissertation about criminology.
But do you accept that there are Jamaicans?
You don't know
Do you accept that there are Jamaicans here who live here who are just as qualified and just as capable to advise the government on national security?
And closer to the situation
yes,
as
but
well.
My friend, let me make it quite clear. They may be qualified, and I respect everybody you are talking about, and they may be competent, but the fact of the matter is, are they willing to do what is necessary to resolve the crime and violence in Jamaica against the Jamaican people?
And I put it to you, that the people who live here are so prepared.
Are what?
They are so prepared.
Let me tell you something, man.
But the fact that the Minister of National Security rejected your letter, or the Minister of Foreign Affairs rejected your letter.
The government must allow them to do what as they would allow the Integrity Commission to do their work.
And have you had suggestions from the JCF that they are not being allowed to do their job?
They're not being allowed to do their job.
How so?
I am telling you categorically, they're not.
Give an example. How so?
What? Look at what they did. Look at what they did to the former chairman of the Jamaica Constabulary Force.
So a disciplinary matter against the former chairman amounts to them blocking the JCF from doing their job?
No, Captain Francis. No.
Do you have another question? Do you have another question for me?
I do have a question for you, Dr. Nelson. All things considered, though, would you consider it a bit imprudent for you to be yelling and shouting traitor at your fellow Jamaican because they have expressed dissatisfaction with the handlings of the government?
Say that again.
Would you consider it a bit imprudent to be yelling and shouting traitor at your fellow Jamaican because of they've expressed some dissatisfaction with the government?
The yelling of traitor by the group that I call Patriotic Jamaicans was a sporadic and reactive response that I could not have controlled or put a stop to. Now, being Jamaicans on the ground, if you look at the significance of that expression, the people who were standing up for Brand Jamaica had their own levels of frustration. If you know the amount of control measures that I try to do to get people to act within a certain manner of principle and discipline, you would understand. And so when they started shouting traitor, there was nothing I could do about that. But I get your point. Jamaicans...
No, hold on. May I say something?
Hold on, let him finish the point. No, hold on, let him finish the point. Let's let him finish the point and then... Go ahead, Dr.
Jamaicans on a whole, we have to get to that point where we learn to behave, in a more civil kind of a way against or towards each other. I will agree with that. But as I said earlier, the people out there making their point and expressing themselves choose their language, choose their method of expression.
Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Navarrete, listen, let me say this to you. We lead by example. And I'm saying to you, he called us thugs before, and I was part of that thuggery he called. We never called them any names today. No names at all. We told them to ignore them, all 9 of them. Okay? And I'm saying to you, it is wrong, and he must accept that it is wrong. And he knows it's not true. Clovis knows it's not true. It's disingenuous. And I'm saying to
what is not true? What is it that I know is not true?
You know that You know that we are not thugs. You know that we did not go out wearing harm. We're singing, we're lamenting, we're doing things out there to improve our country, and we're not destroying Grand Jamaica.
Dr. Francis, if I may take you on that. If I may take you on that. Your behavior and that of your team or your group, and I want to talk about those bloggers who are behaving as if they're earning a salary for doing what they're doing. You people need to come to the realization that you are indeed trying to embarrass your government and drag your country's flag in the gutters of the international sphere. There's no doubt about that. And as I said earlier,
let me
finish my point.
Hold on, Captain Francis. Hold on.
As I said
Hold on,
earlier,
Captain Francis. Hold on.
As I said earlier, the government of Jamaica, let me say this, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not subjected to accept anything that you and your team might want to present to them. And when they fail to accept it, you go out there with a tantrum like 2-year-olds and try to drag the Jamaican flag in the gutters across the globe. That is where the problem is with me. Let me finish my point, please.
Let him.
We will allow you, Captain Francis. Let him
when you're
finish.
talking. I don't disturb you when you're talking. So don't disturb me when I'm speaking. I am trying to tell you where I stand with regards to all of this. Think whatever you may, but Clovis Nelson is for brand Jamaica, irrespective of the spins that might be circling around brand Jamaica. Whatever political issues you and your team might have, whatever Christ-like solution you think you have for crime and corruption in Jamaica, that is within you. But do not take the national emblem and trample over it in the streets of Manhattan. I will not support that. I will be anti that in every sense, and that is where I stand.
Can I say something to his rant right now?
Go
I
ahead.
would like to know how much you're being paid to do what you're doing, because it's obviously you're being paid because you're not speaking for the minister.
You know something, Captain Francis. Let me respond to that.
All right, I'm going to call time because we're out of time. But let me ask this final question to you, Mr. Francis. You talk about the crime situation. You know one of the drivers, one of the things that drives the crime situation in Jamaica, the illegal guns that flow from the United States into Jamaica. Can we expect a protest against that?
We do not support any illegal guns.
No, man, I understand that, but I'm saying, can we get a protest to urge the U.S. Congress to do more to stem that?
Absolutely. We will do anything we can. And what I would like to say is that what Dr. Nelson just said is
all right. So I put it to you. I put it to you that if we're serious about the crime situation, that may be a helpful way members of the diaspora.
Let me respond to that.
No.
That would be helpful for members of the diaspora.
No, Dr. Nelson.
Let me respond to that question since he's beating around the bush. When you go out there in the streets of New York and Miami to protest and to try to disgrace Jamaica on the national forum, that is exactly what your conversation should be around. How we can ask the U.S. government to intervene. I am speaking.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. We're out of time.
You have not on a stage and you want to be in the Labour Party.
All right, we're out of time.
Tell the people the truth.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Member of the Jamaican Diaspora Council, Dr. Clovis Nelson, head of the Jamaica Diaspora Crime Intervention and Prevention Task Force, Captain Rupert Francis. After the break,
we have the Minister of Information, Robert
Morgan.
We're
not taking the break. No.
Okay. We're going straight to the Minister of Information, Robert Morgan. Good evening, Minister.
Good evening, Minister.
Good evening. I cannot say that I would get...
Sorry, you're breaking up. Say that again.
I cannot say I would be as treated, but I wish to add some clarity to some of the statements that were made.
Please.
So, I don't know if you're aware, and it was previously on your program, that several years ago we were engaged by members of the diaspora. I think it was under Minister Montague.
Mm-hmm.
And the engagement was pretty fruitful. And they made several suggestions, some of which were implemented in Time Secure Jamaica and several other policy approaches that the government sought to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Not all of their suggestions were accepted, but some were.
Mm-hmm.
So it is not correct to say that the government did not accept the suggestions of Mr. Francis and his team. The fact of the matter is, however, is that in the whole issue of crime and crime fighting, there are going to be diverse perspectives and views, which people are entitled to. But we are very competent, very capable individuals, well-trained, trained internationally, in collaboration with our partners in the United States, in Canada, and Britain, who also have knowledge and expertise in crime fighting.
Well, Mr. Francis seems to think that they're not giving the right advice.
I don't know. Mr. Francis is entitled to his position, but you are seeing the fruits of the work, not just of the government executives, but also a whole ecosystem of persons who are a part of the national security infrastructure. I'll give you an example. Mr. Francis speaks about the money not going the right place, and you see that in his letter. When we became government, we realized very quickly that the issue of border security was of paramount importance. We had inherited a situation where the Army only had one mid-range patrol vessel. Currently, I think we have bought about 7 new vessels, which is one of the important tools that we use to reduce the entrance of contraband into the country, such as firearms and drug trafficking.
So better policing of the borders.
Better policing of the borders. Additionally, there was a deficit in the whole forensic aspect of the security forces. We invested a lot of money in a new forensic lab where gunshot residue, DNA, and all of those things can be examined. And you have seen in cases in the court where a lot of science is being used by the prosecution, by the police investigators to deal with crime. The other issue we speak about is gang violence. There's never been a time in the history of Jamaica that so many persons have been convicted under the anti-gang legislation.
We put that to Mr. Francis. Did you hear his response?
He suggested that you are doing it only in one direction.
A politically motivated attempt.
And that's something I want to address as well.
Yes.
Remember, we passed a law many years ago that separated the operational functions of the police force from the political directorate. So it is actually illegal for Dr. Horace Chan to call the commissioner of police and say, go there or prosecute that person. That is even before this administration, under the previous PNP administration, that wasn't done, and it's not done. And there are 2 letters that they sent. They sent a press release on the 10th of May with a whole slew of accusations against the country and the government. And even you in your newsroom, if you go through it, you'll realize that a large percentage of the things that Mr. Francis is accusing the government and the country of is false, right? And I think it's a disservice to the work, not of the government, but of so many Jamaicans who have toiled. If you look at the anti-corruption framework, we passed the law in 2018 to make the Integrity Commission a reality. We have funded the Integrity Commission as much as they wish. They are now over $1 billion. You have never heard any accusation of the government interfering with the work of the Integrity Commission. All the reports have been tabled, and where the Integrity Commission has suggested sanctions against individuals, people have resigned, people have lost their jobs, people have gone before the court. So there's no question that this government has been one of the most anti-corrupt since independence. And it's not us saying it. If you look at Transparency International rankings, and you look at the trend over the last 2 decades, it is this government that has had the best anti-corruption ranking. This government has no employees at Transparency International. It's an independent entity. And I think the challenge we're having with Mr. Francis and whoever else is associated with him in these matters, as while they do have a right to protest, they do not have a right to mislead the public. And I think a large percentage of the things that they're saying are misleading the public.
Let me ask you, do you
Yes.
think it's politically motivated?
I think there is aspects of politics in it. There are various actors associated with them. They have regular blogs online where political activists are a part of their team. And there are also individuals in their cohort who have had engagement in the court, including myself, against the government. And I don't really want to go into that aspect of it. But anybody who looks at the overall picture, I don't know if Dr. Francis personally is political, but there is a clear political tinge to a lot of what I see them doing. Dr. Francis is not the only actor that exists. He may be the spokesperson, but there are several other persons who are well known within the diaspora as political activists who are participating in this whole endeavor that they're seeking to do.
Minister Morgan, according to Mr. Francis, we can't trust our lying eyes. Has there been some change in how the JCF reports?
Can I just say,
go ahead.
I find this trend, and it's not a trend, of questioning these statistics very, very dangerous. I think we're skating in dangerous territory as a country when we're seeking to discredit the official statistics put out by the principal crime-fighting agency in Jamaica. I find it deplorable, I have to say, and very, very dangerous. It's not the first time I've heard it suggested, and for him to blatantly say it now makes me very uncomfortable.
So I put it to you, Mr. Morgan. Have we changed how these statistics are reported since 2016?
No, we have not. And the same persons, most of them who did the statistics in 2011, 2012, 2013 are the same persons there. But there's a bigger problem, Ricardo. The group that Mr. Francis is associated with says they are interested in accountability and good governance and all of that. You do not bring good governance in a society by undermining its institutions. When Dr. Francis comes on your program, and even in his letter, his press release, undermines the integrity of public servants who are non-political, because their findings do not align with the narrow interests of his group. He accuses them of dishonesty. He accuses them of corruption. He accuses them of incompetence because their findings, he's saying crime murders are down 4%, but the internationally recognized and accepted statistical standard used by the JCF says it is down by 13%. By saying that the statistics are wrong, you're basically saying that the JCF is corruptly deflating the statistics. And that undermines institutions. So you lose your credibility because what you're doing, you're not trying to build Jamaica. What you're doing is you're actually trying to undermine the institutions that are there to protect and build the country for your own narrow ends.
Thank you so much for your time, Minister. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Not a problem. It makes me uncomfortable. I heard it suggested before in a very roundabout way.
And from people I wouldn't expect to have made the suggestion.
And now to hear it being blatantly said, I agree. Discrediting institutions is not the way to achieve political power. Because if you burn it all down, remember, you have to then inherit the situation.
And you see it not only in matters of crime, you see it in terms of statistics coming from the
Absolutely.
PIOJ, from Statin, where we...
very, very dangerous practice. Because even if you achieve the power that you want, remember, these are the same institutions
will have to work with.
You'll have to work with. And if you've discredited them, the same knife will stick the sheep, I will stick the goat. 630-937-124, 618-8255. Those are the numbers to call. We take your calls after the break.
The mission of the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs includes revising Jamaica's legal and constitutional infrastructure and accelerating the pace of reform. The time by the MLCA is
7:25.
Welcome Deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top.
So crisp, so light, so buttery.
When you're good, you're just good. Hey, had the national flavor. You go off and buy this pack. So good, it's just just so good. Welcome Deluxe, the cream cracker that rises to the top.
So crisp, so light, so buttery.
National Baking Company, just so good.
Touching lives every day, so many different ways. A part of all you do. Sagicor will make you feel secure. Reaching out for more, we'll always see you through. Reach for more, whatever you're dreaming, whatever your goals, will help you achieve them. You're never alone. Taking care of today's needs, take care of tomorrow's dreams. Every day helping you succeed, that's what Sagicor means. Today's needs, tomorrow's dreams. Sagicor.
Super Center, everything for your home and more.
And we mean everything, not just houseware and appliances. At Zan Super Center, we have furniture too. Furniture for your living room, dining room, bedroom, kitchen, and more. Low on cash? At a Zan Super Center, we have layaway plans. Don't delay. Come in today.
Zan Super Center, we're gonna make you smile. Zan Super Center, it's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Nationwide 90 FM is at it again. Team Revolution will clear every hurdle and sprint to the finish line as we cover the games of the 33rd Olympiad from Paris, the city of love.
3 meters clear, 5 meters clear, and away he goes. He continues on his way towards another gold medal. 5 gold medals, 5 world records.
Nationwide's coverage is powered by our diamond sponsor, Fosrich, fostering rich customer service across all locations island-wide.
Some dreamers picture a place they call home, a house with no mortgage, a home that they own. Some dream of owning their very own store, meet a cafe or florist, or growing one into more. Where one dreams of making luxury shopping the norm, others dream of sports cars, the kind that perform. But one thing in common these dreamers all need is to build their wealth so they can achieve.
Never settle for less than your dreams with Sagicor Investments. Call 888-SAGICOR to speak with a wealth advisor.
Your voice matters, and it's making a difference. In January 2023, you are invited to share valuable feedback on the draft regulations for our National Identification System NIDS. Thanks to your input, these regulations have been enhanced and are now being tabled for Parliament's consideration. Follow the debates and get the latest updates on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Together, we're building a brighter, more secure future for Jamaica.
7:29, and we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-88255. Richard, you're on the line.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, sir.
My question is, because I hear somebody was talking to Chris Hughes about we are not hosting the T20 World Cup. Question, how much would it cost us if we should host it for just 2 games or 3 games a month? Can we really want to waste that kind of money?
There was a figure put out, I'm not remembering it now, but it was quite substantial. Not remembering the exact figure. But I think the minister said that having done the assessment, they didn't think that spend would have had the returns that would be necessary to justify
That's my point. And people are crying, oh, we should have the cricket here. But we have to look at the cost factor. Because we are not... Because one of the things I tell people that any having these international events, it is very, very expensive. I remember that in some of those first world countries, when they have Olympics and World Games and you have Winter Games, and if they don't make the money, they tax the people to make by that money that they spend up. So we really have to look at how we spend our money here. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm also looking at when we have like the regional cricket, how many people really take time out to go and sit down for an hour and watch?
Siobhan is a cricket fan. Siobhan is a cricket fan.
Let's be honest, the cricket has fallen off in its popularity in recent years.
So why should we spend so much money to host 2 games?
The caller, and this is not me supporting, but a caller suggested that because it's T20 and T20 cricket tends to be more popular than the test format, that it would have a bigger draw. But I mean, the government, I'm certain, did its analysis and said, no, this doesn't sum up.
And you know, the thing I was thinking about too is if the government had spent that money and then the supporters did not turn out,
they'd be lambasted.
Yeah, the criticism would have been, you wasted the money.
And history has proven that to be the point.
Absolutely.
But even when the Talawa was playing here, we didn't get the kind of crowd we were anticipating. When we had the World Cup cricket here, the government spent over $2 billion upgrading Savannah Park. The better stadium, it'll stay there. I don't know what they're doing with it. So what happened to those BMWs? Where did they go? Who benefited from them?
I think those were my recollections that they were redirected for diplomatic purposes. That was that's my recollection of what happened to them. They were put into the fleet for use as diplomatic vehicles.
Understood. Because there are certain things that we don't get that information, and not everybody will get that information. And finally, so the traffic bureau case is dead, right?
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
At least in terms of Jamaican aspect of it, yes.
Right. Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Keep up
All right, Richard. Hey, man, thanks for the call. 630-9371-4 618-8255. Carl? Good evening.
Welcome back, Ricardo.
Thank you, sir.
Ricardo, you asked a question since evening if they think it is political.
Mm-hmm.
To Mr. Morgan, why? I don't know why you did waste your time ask that question.
Hey, why you said that?
Last week, Golden was up there trying to chump up his supporters for today.
Was that his intention, though?
all right, Shabby, don't ask me that the question. Now you know things. Now you know things better than
I don't know nothing.
Anyhow.
Yes.
This Ricardo,
yes.
You can't understand.
Well, you can't understand.
Mr. Hilton say,
yes,
he may sit on the board of illegal constitution where they might try to straighten up. Man.
No, not illegal constitution. No, man, it's quite legal.
Yeah, legal constitution.
Right.
Man, Dana Scott Matley.
And Hugh Small.
And
I should correct that, by the way. I've been guided that Mr. Hugh Small was also nominated by the leader of the opposition. So there are actually three members, yes.
And he said in brief, the leader at all times.
Yes, and it was important for me to establish that at the beginning because I was confused about that because I wanted to know.
I noticed that you press it.
I thought it was important to establish that.
Right. Yeah. And if you see the leader come out, we hear, I don't know if you can go back and listen, the leader say in all them sitting at the board, they have no right to sign off on anything unless.
His letter did suggest that they didn't have the authority, independent authority.
Then it left me, Ricardo, to remember what happened with Julian Robbins to the raise of the Parliament people MP. Him agree with it. When Peter Phillipson agree with the transport business, and as soon as he reached to the dictator tell him say no one, so he want it.
No, man. No, we're not for the dictator thing. We're not for the massa mark. No, we don't have to do that either. Can make your criticism without the name calling.
So hold on. So that's how he want to run a country. So if he should have win an election and he ministers them sign off on a document and him not agree, he just write a letter and say he not agree. Ricardo, me have a problem with Ricardo. Is the delegate them voting this man to be the leader of the opposition? The Jamaica people never vote this man to be the leader of the opposition. That's a problem we keep having now.
But the Jamaican people never vote for the leader. No, man, Carl. The Jamaican people never directly vote for the leader of the opposition. Or the Prime Minister, for that matter.
Carl?
Yes, please, I'm here. I'm listening.
Mr. Brooks has pointed out something quite poignant. Neither the Prime Minister or the leader of the opposition are
directly elected by the people.
I agree with that. But a delegate vote for him to be the leader of the opposition. the people of Jamaica vote for a prime minister by voting him into his constituency.
Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, so they gave the party a mandate.
Exactly.
Okay. Well,
I know one little man.
All right, put it this way.
You how a country
Put it this way.
govern.
Put it this way. Mr. Golding senses or hopes that his party is in the ascendancy. And therefore, he thinks he has the political strength now and the political capital that he can flex. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Ricardo, I want to tell you something. And you can also check it.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Radigan did want to be a Minister of National Security in Jamaica.
Was it security or was it the commissioner?
The Commissioner of Police.
Yes.
And he did not get it.
Right.
And when he not get it, this man is bitter with the Jamaica Labour Party. When you listen to this one, you just interview not too long. It was a waste of time. Because, I know him once say it is not 14% decrease in a sense. The police them do such a excellent job now. Remember say Bunting said too? Bunting criticized and say no believe it either.
Yes.
And
Or certainly
Bunting,
suggested that there was something off about it.
Yeah, and Bunting himself should even start about national security. Because he was a disaster in a Portland. When a criminal
All right,
take
Carl.
place
Nobody go
in
this.
briefcase,
All right, Carl.
That's a poor Minister of National Security.
Good
He
eve-
needs to go put himself
Good
in a
evening.
corner
Good evening,
and
Carl.
hook up.
Good evening, Carl. Cleveland.
Yes, sir. How you doing, Ricardo?
I am all right. How are you?
Me good. Siobhan, how you doing?
Doing quite well. How you doing, Cleveland?
May I give thanks? And I listen what I go on here. Mr. Francis, you don't want to recall him a traitor? What you call a traitor?
No.
I would not like to refer to a fellow
mean,
Jamaican in such a way
No,
unless
man.
they have
No,
done...
man. No, man. Remember, people, as Siobhan pointed out correctly, people have the right to criticize.
Yes.
What
we
you
know
what
that.
you can argue with is the substance of the criticism.
We know that.
We don't have to do the name
But
calling.
you can see him carrying a bill because he don't get a job from the government. Our government don't listen to him. Right? Why don't he stir up Americans and preach to the Jamaicans there to stop send down gun in the barrel? Why don't he take that job?
And Dr. Nelson raised a good point. Why doesn't he? Why does he not go to the U.S. government and ask them to do a better job of policing the traffic of firearms? Because as many people point out, we don't manufacture guns here.
And it makes it worse now. He's saying that the police working and locking up one set of man and leaving out the other set. Can you imagine that this gentleman saying love Jamaica and saying that against the police? I remember, when one of these ladies, Miss Robinson, was there in one of the constituency over there. And she had to leave them. And our one party never even help her, never stand by her to save her. She had to leave the seat. No seat. So I don't know how I'm coming with. I don't know how I'm get that to say the police is not locking up some and locking up some. I don't understand how a good person could ever say such a thing about the police force. And it's just plain politics. Plain politics those two gentlemen carrying on. Francis and the other one, what his name?
All right, Cleveland.
Anyhow, one more thing before me go.
Yes.
Mr. Golding.
Yes.
That man is a dictator,
No, Cleveland. Cleveland.
Ricardo,
Cleveland, we just spoke about the name calling. No, man. No, Cleveland. No.
And him just want to have things that you believe in because him have ascendancy now. He has none. And I hope the government don't sit by and make him dictate to them. I'm not in a position to dictate in this business here. And I must make the people them vote for whatever decision is going to make on this constitution thing. You can't make one man try to dictate and hold big stick over people because he believe him have something, he sees some light. But mine think a light and a darkness.
All right,
You know.
Cleveland.
Ulrich, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sean.
Hello, Ulrich.
Yeah, Mr. Rattigan and what's his name? Dr. What? The guy you interview?
Francis or Nelson?
Francis?
Yes, we interviewed Francis and Nelson.
Yeah, look here. Mr. Rattigan's beef, I think, with this country is because he wouldn't get the appointment as the commissioner of police. Because he come with all this fancy, I think he has degrees and this and that. And I think he applied for the commissioner thing at least twice and he was refused. But I would like to tell Mr. Rattigan that if he really wants to help, instead of shaming Jamaica on the stage, the world stage, like what they did today, if he really wants to help, and with all his expertise in law enforcement, why don't he get a chance through the Jamaican embassy in America and sit down with the FBI agents and the other people who are in charge of crime and help to stop the gun flow from coming into this country from the United States? He lives there. And if he's as intelligent and as smart as he say he is, that he would want to become commissioner of police down here, why don't he work with them up there in collaboration with our present commissioner, our government, and our national security minister, and try and stop the flow of guns from coming into this country from where he lives? As for Mr. Francis nor Dr. Francis, why couldn't he answer you and tell you where did he get his statistics from?
He said he would email himself.
Chevron made a mistake and told him 14.
Right.
And Chevron went and pulled up the facts and told him it was 13.7. He's sticking at 4. And he can't answer you guys and tell you guys where he can get him information from. Him think we really have fool people down here. You have information to say that it is 4% reduction in crime. We have it down here that it's not that. You are telling him the facts that you are from the police. And he's telling you that it's not that. And he's not telling you where he gets his information from. What do they sit up there and think we are down here? They think we're stupid?
I am more concerned by the fact that he suggests that we should not trust the JCF statistics when that has been the measure by which we've...
They have their agenda. And as far as I'm concerned, you guys might not agree. Their agenda is political. Because you can't go swinging left, right, and center and telling us that we must not trust the people down here who we have entrusted and have been paying to guard us. And to tell us that you sit up where you are and you are telling us that it is 4% reduction in crime. When all the statistics down here that we have found and Chevron was trying to telling us that it is 13 point something. It is trending down. And you don't have to, you feel it and you see it. What do they take us for? Do they think we are stupid? And what they did today was just shame Jamaica on the international stage. Because people not buying what they did today.
And I want to be clear, I don't have a problem with protests, and I don't have a problem with dissent, but it should be grounded, I think, in reality and in facts.
Precisely.
So you can't just band about and say the government is doing nothing, because it's just plainly not true.
FACTS. If you're coming to me with anything like those, you have to bring the facts and let me know. You can't just be banding around the 4%, and you can't tell you guys and the Jamaican people where we got that from.
All right.
Come on, man. Those guys are supposed to be in jail. When they take us, my grandmother used to say when somebody tried to take your soul, them take your kunumun. When take us far down, them take us far down here.
All right, Alric. Appreciate the call.
Richie, evening.
Good evening, Marshawan.
Evening, sir.
Mr. Brooks.
Good evening.
At the first time I thank you up in your company in a big league,
I didn't hear that.
We said the first time I get a chance to talk to your company in the big league.
No, man, we talked before.
No, man, not up here, so down here, sir.
No, we talked about the big league.
Me remember that.
You remember when you called in for Dr. Daly show?
Brother, Mr. said he called and dropped a nice,
So yes, you remember. Yeah, man, we talked, man.
Yes. But the last time, night when I called, I was going to explain some things, what they call in job.
Right.
I mean, the network.
Yeah.
What network went down, so I just couldn't participate. But
Okay.
that's for next time.
All right, my brother.
Yes. This doctor what represents the PMP. What's his name again?
Which doctor?
A while ago, the one that said we wrote a letter to the government in 2003 about the crime rate.
He doesn't represent the PMP. Or that's not my understanding.
He doesn't represent the PMP.
No, that's not my understanding.
So what is his role?
He says he's a concerned Jamaican who is concerned about the problems,
The state of crime
The
in
state
the
of
country
crime
and what he
and-
believes to be the lack of response from the government.
Right.
Oh, but the son of his son, that's the impression I got. But anyway, he said we wrote a letter to the government 2003 about the crime rate. That's what he said?
No, I don't think he said it was 2003. He didn't give a date. He said he wrote a letter or 2 letters.
He didn't give a date?
No, I don't recall that. No.
I think that's what he said. But anyway, about the crime rate. And Marbolin and now the government and the PMP were in consultation to bring the SOE, to include the SOE in terms of bringing on crime. Yet, the PMP jump ship and carry the government to court to get rid of the SOE, knowing very well that crime must increase because there's only 14,000 police is here to fight crime. So I'm wondering, is it that they are saying that if the government, if they get rid of the SOE, the crime will come down? It's almost have to go up, because 14,000 police is just like a handful of police in this country fighting crime. So the point, what I'm keep thinking about every day, if they get rid of the SOE, 14 police is one full of police to fight crime. Those the crime would go up. And when they win election, how would they manage crime then? That's a big question I keep asking the PMP, How would they manage crime? I'm wondering at that time if they would try to get back the SOE to work. Or if they can't get it back, where would the country go from here? This man who talk about if the Jamaica, if JFP win election, the country will go like South Africa. I think he should be thinking about that as well.
Like Haiti.
Huh?
Like Haiti, I think he said.
I don't hear.
I think he said Jamaica would become like Haiti, not South Africa.
Yes, come like Haiti. But if Margot and PMP get rid of the SOE and when crime kick up, don't you be going like Haiti? And he's putting that blame on the JLP. I think these people are very disingenuous and I think they need to come good and tell the truth. They should be ashamed of themselves. For this we keep doing every day. Playing politics. That usually always say politics, but But you see where I see Margot and the PMP charity, it's like a cesspool. And all them want to do is take people to turn fool. It can't work. Them come like pricky. You know pricky? Like you when time fool they come. And you take one man and send him, take a food and send it further. That's what the PMP party is. And the support of the PMP party as well. They
All
are
right.
pricky and I take much I think take sense people fool.
All right, Alric. That was Richie. Oh, my apologies, Richie. Jeffrey.
Yeah, good evening.
Evening, sir.
Yes, I was listening to discussion with you and Captain Francis. And if Captain Francis wanted to show a significant interest in what is happening in Jamaica, he where he is could have made that, he could have planned that demonstration, which would be more effective and be more to the Jamaica, to the situation that he is complaining about, by protesting against the U.S. government not doing enough to prevent the guns from coming through their borders to come to Jamaica. And the question that you put to him, he was him slide around it, saying that anything that will, is not anything. If he's seeing that crime is one of the major problem in Jamaica, and he's studying it, doing his studies as he's saying, then he should be seeing one of the most significant things that is fueling crime in Jamaica is the availability of guns, easy availability of guns in Jamaica.
That's fair.
And the questions that you have asked, some of the questions that you have asked, and the things that the Jamaican public would have gotten from what he has done, to suggest that it is more on a political basis more than the interest of the people in Jamaica, is the way how he responded to the interview that you did with him. Because from all that I could have gotten from him, is that there is a motive which is not to prevent, is not the crime situation. You know, when you have somebody want to trick you, they may up and tell you, say, well, you remember as I look at you, they want to tell you, say, you feel look up in a year, when you get your dinner, you look up in a year, when you look back down, you realize you miss your meat out of your plate.
Yes. Especially your big brother used to that, yes.
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 Well, it's something like that he might try to use. He's coming from, he knows his motive.
But let me ask you, you don't think they have a right to protest?
They have a right to protest, but protest how and for what reason? I told you.
But, I mean, they're Jamaicans. There are Jamaicans who are concerned about the level of crime.
Yes. And if you are going to protest, I told you what he should have done by the first statement. You protest against the American government not doing enough to prevent the guns coming here. But he might very well see himself that they might end up and withdraw him green card or him citizenship because he would still be seen as a Jamaican. So he now go and protest against the American government.
So what do you mean?
And you asked him an interesting question, Ricardo, that I don't think he quite answered regarding who was the protest for, as in terms whose attention was he trying to draw?
To draw. You understand? What he's doing. And one other thing, you have a lot of these people who get an opportunity to go abroad and see themselves as being, they are isolated from what we are experiencing. And they try to end up and fly a thing to make it look like them know all things. Well, he was a part of a government some time ago. What was significant about the time that he had spent doing when he was a member of parliament? What did he do?
Was he an MP? I don't think he was an MP. I think he was a member of the army.
He was a Jamaica. He was was an MP in the Jamaica Labour Party government of the 80s.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
You need to research it and check it. Captain Francis was a part of the Jamaica Labour Party government of the 80s.
Oh.
He wasn't in the government of such, but he was a part of the
he was a member of the parliament.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And what did he do? Now the other part, I vaguely remember that the Minister of Health had suggested that Mr. Golden went and met with the Diaspora some weeks ago. Are you assured that could be true?
Yes, he had a tour or some meetings with members of the Diaspora. Yes, that's true. I think it was last week. I think it was last week.
There as country people that say, you better make you sleep mark that. Because it could very well be that they were announcing this demonstration from before, and he went and met with them.
No, I don't.
Which side
I don't want us to go down that road because we have no evidence to prove that. But
which side did he meet with? Was it the side
I also don't know that he met with any side.
He simply met with the Diaspora.
He just met with members of the Diaspora.
Well, make I tell you this. With Mr. Golden, his utterances, even now, I wouldn't, because of the radio, I don't want to go the same route as what my friend said a while ago. But if you choose people to go on a committee and they are educated persons and persons of intellect that you had put on a committee and you are going to dictate to them that if them even they think for them to vote for, you tell them say they not to vote for, then you know want me to use the word, But he is of that type.
Thank you for the call. I see Chris Mulling saying that Francis wasn't an MP, he was a candidate. He says in East Central, St. Andrew. So, but we'll definitely check that. There's an interesting proposal, that members of the diaspora should be given seats in the Senate. Would you support that proposal?
I don't believe you should be so far removed from the country and have a seat in the Senate, no.
Okay. What about the right to vote?
Further to that as well.
Okay. We don't agree on many things. We agree on that. That's all the time we have. Special thanks to our hardworking producer. Hi, Dana. The man behind the controls, Bugs. Big up yourself. Or do we say Andrew Glenn Anderson? Is that what?
That's my very, very exact way of
I'm sorry. Andrew Glenn Anderson. There we go. The news and production team led by Cara Powell. That's everybody, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah.
Okay. Can give a shout out to our boss, Cliff Hughes, who took today off resting.
No, I saw him here today. I saw him here today. I did. Oh, I think he was saying they're asleep. Right, so.
Well, I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Nationwide 90 FM is at it again.